Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. Jake here. It's been a while since I last updated or uploaded anything, because we've all been super busy. But I figured I'd try something different with a new podcast, where basically me and my guests will talk about some of our favorite traveling experiences, whether it be domestic, international, or even just trying a new restaurant down the street. Because traveling is one of my favorite things, and I like to just talk about that. So hopefully, with this new podcast that I'll do every now and then, it'll enlighten you all, the listeners, on places to travel and experience. So, with that out of the way, I'll introduce my guests, Jon and Alyssa.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, man.
How's it going?
Pretty good. We're excited. Definitely travel a lot, so.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about that today because it's been, how long has it been now? Like a month since we got back? Actually, it's been longer now.
Yeah, I mean, we got back in mid-September.
Yeah,
so
it's
been
been
like
a
2
minute.
months since we got back from our trip. Our big trip. I mean, we actually just got back from Nashville like a week ago.
Yeah.
You all were at a concert, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who'd you all go see?
we went and saw Macklemore. We actually got to meet Ben Haggerty, too. It was really cool. So he's a big influence in my life in general. So I like Macklemore a lot.
I too am a concert goer, and Nashville's actually a pretty nice city. It's actually got a pretty nice music scene outside of country music. I mean, obviously that's the main I guess demographic of music, but it's got a pretty good rock scene there too. Because that's more my jam is rock and heavy metal. But,
It was really fun going down to kind of like the main strip
Broadway.
because there was like all of these classic old school signs and there was live music coming out of all these different bars. We saw someone, it looked like they were shooting a music video like right off of that. So it felt very lively, even, like in the fall and you wouldn't think it would have been very touristy, but it was really fun though.
We saw this one band, I can't remember what they're called, but their bassist has a stand-up bass that's made out of a gas tank from an old truck.
Really?
Yeah, and they were like playing in one of the bars, and I was like, man, I can't remember what the band's called, but one of my buddies was telling me about it because he literally showed me like that bass, and it was just funny because I was like just walking down the street and that band was playing in one of those like restaurants or bars or something. It was really cool.
And I don't know the name of the bar, but there's one like in that little area where basically it's just an open bar where like there are like no windows.
Yeah,
that's how like a lot of them. Yeah.
That's where that band was playing.
Because I think it was a few years ago I saw Iron Maiden, who were my all-time favorite band there. And I thought that was like so cool. I was just kind of like, whoa, like you can just walk right in here and there's like pool tables. I'm like, this feels like that quintessential like bar where like you go in there, you have a few drinks, play pool and socialize and just listen to music. I don't know, like I like that kind of experience regardless of where I'm traveling.
I feel like Broadway, like at night, I feel like it would be kind of like just like party central, whole strip, like everyone kind of like flowing in and out of different bars. We are old, so we walked through there at like 4:00 on a Sunday afternoon.
Also, we went in like mid-September, so it's pretty cold down there. Like
there was still a ton of people down there though, and music coming out of every single little bar. Like it was very cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. It's a really cool like little mini vacation.
Because we were just in Nashville for the night. We drove down, went to the concert, and then drove back the next day. But yeah,
it was fun. I liked it. I highly recommend Nashville. Check it out.
I've only been there like probably a couple of times, but yeah, it's a really nice city. But I guess on to the main topic. You all just recently did a road trip around the U.S.
Yes.
Overall, how long were you all planning on doing this? Was this something you all had in mind for a really long time, or was it just like...
We had actually been we planned the trip for like a solid year, and then we had some death in the family, and we weren't able to go on the trip. So then we had to postpone it for a year, and we did pretty much the exact same trip. It was a little different. We had originally planned to go to Mississippi and southern Texas as well, and we ended up not going to those two places just because our friends that we had that lived there didn't live there anymore. So it was like,
kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, there's no need in going down there. We always go to a new city every year for our anniversary, and we hit our 5-year anniversary. We've been married for 5 years, so
congratulations.
Thank you.
We figured we'd do something big, and so we decided we'd just see the entire country. And we're gone for 17 days. We went through 18 different states.
Which I think that's pretty good to go through 18.
Oh yeah, we were trucking. Like, we had a schedule, and there were a lot of times where we were like, all right, we're in this city, we have 3 hours, and then we've got to go because it definitely was a tight schedule in some places, but we saw a lot considering that it was only. I mean, that seems like such a long vacation, but. Yeah. When you think about, we drove across the country and back.
And just how massive the U.S. is. Because, like, obviously, like, you know, everyone knows that it's a huge country. But, like, because the furthest west I've ever driven was New Mexico. So I've actually been, like abroad, like, to Europe more than I have, like, in the States. But it was really cool, though, like, just when I drove out to New Mexico, just kind of getting a perspective on just how truly massive the U.S. is. Like, especially... Because I was with my one of my sisters, not the one that you all know, my other sister, and she was telling me, like, you know, when we were driving to Texas, she was kind of like, yeah, it's really weird. Once we get to Texas, it's almost like the sky gets bigger. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
But it's true, though. Like, that's kind of the beautiful thing about, I feel like, the United States as well, is it's so massive, but also you see it transform into complete, like driving through New Mexico was when we really started to see it change, and it was like, this is an entirely different place than I've ever seen. This looks nothing like, I mean, obviously through movies and stuff like that, but seeing it in person.
I would also say, like, Texas too, like, was the plains, you know, like they say, like, where the deer and the antelope roam, like, I mean, it was just plains, like, as far as you could see. It was crazy. That was really cool. But then, like she was saying, when we got to, like, New Mexico, it's when we started seeing, like, plateaus and, like giant, like, rock cliffs.
What did you all think of New Mexico? Like, did you spend a whole lot of time there, or were you just driving through?
Well, we stopped in Albuquerque.
But that was it.
But just for a couple hours. Again, tight schedule. We knew we had a friend there. We stopped in for a couple hours. John skated some ditches.
Well, Albuquerque is actually really famously known for ditches because the sand washes away so easily. So all of their, like, lakes and creek beds and stuff are all concrete.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like skater's paradise. Like, it's so cool. There's actually this one ditch. It's 3 miles long.
Wow.
And you can skate the entire thing. I didn't get to skate the entire thing.
So is that part of one of your goals? Is like, I want to skate in, like, every single location?
He definitely had some bucket list items.
Yeah. So it was. I just think the easiest way to talk about the trip would just be, like, to start from the beginning and go to the end, because it was such a long trip. Like, there's so much. Like, if you jump around, like, I don't even think. How many hours is this podcast? Like,
no, I mean, if necessary, we can break this into, like, 2 parts, or, like, do, like, a part 1 now and then, like, maybe a couple weeks later. Because again, I imagine, like, having to, like, recount 17 days worth of travel.
But a lot of it was driving. Some of it.
We drove 6,000 miles, so I mean, that's literally, like, we had to pretty much get an oil change in the middle of driving, like.
Which I guess that's not the worst thing that could happen, though, driving that distance, like, just to get an oil change.
It definitely, I feel like there were a lot of times where it could have been worse. Like, we had our check engine light come on at one point, and we accidentally ran through a toll booth.
We haven't gotten a
ticket for that yet. We're waiting for it, though. It all happened so fast.
I didn't know what to do.
We were in, like, the express pay lane, and it was like 5 lanes of traffic, and
it was terrible.
We just had to commit.
And they're only out, like, what, $2 or something? So
they'll
be fine.
It's fine. We're in a rental car, so it's taken them a while to find.
There you go. Probably like 5 years from now, it's like, we finally got them.
Yeah, we'll get a letter in the mail.
It's like, oh yeah, that's right, from that road trip we did 5 years ago. They finally caught us. That's dedication.
Yeah.
You'll never get us past.
When we were planning the trip, we kind of planned it around, like, either people we were going to see or specifically places we wanted to see. So our very first stop was Mountain View, Arkansas.
Which is a tiny little nothing town in northern Arkansas. Like, literally, no one has ever been there that we know of except for my family, because my grandfather is from Mountain View. So that was the reason why we wanted to go, is because we wanted to go to his hometown and just check it out. And we just knew that there was a campsite, and we're like, hey, we'll go camp here and check it out. And there was also this big rock amphitheater that my great-grandfather helped build.
Oh, that's cool.
And it is incredible. Like, the stonework in this amphitheater, because it was all, like, Creek rock, hand laid, like it's amazing. Like it was like breathtaking.
Do they still do like plays or like concerts or both?
I think they do some of that
I
stuff,
would assume
but
so.
nothing was going on the weekend, like or the time we were there.
There's even still just to admire like that was all handmade.
Yeah,
I think
it was
still
just like
pretty
the craftsmanship, and then like in the middle of some of the steps, there'd be like just trees just coming up. Like I mean, it was just giant trees just right in the middle that had grown up over the years, and it was a really cool.
It was beautiful. The town itself was really cool too, because we come from a small town. We're kind of used to that, but this was kind of like tucked in the hillside of Arkansas, and on the outskirts, it kind of had that very like commercial feel that you get for like there was a Walmart and a Taco Bell and stuff like that. And then we got into the main strip, and you had the courthouse and these little old buildings that had so much character. And
that's one of my favorite things traveling to, like, especially like some of the small towns, is seeing like just the architecture in some of these buildings. And again, like some of them, like again, there's more character because like some of them are like brightly colored. It's just like different designs, and you're kind of like, that is so neat that like someone for whatever reason decided to build this building differently, or like I don't know, for whatever reason they're kind of like, I'm feeling different today.
Yeah.
Let's not build a regular like rectangular building. Let's make it like triangle or something.
I love seeing weird stuff, and that like in one of the windows there was like taxidermied like fox that looked crazy, and we ate it. So one thing I should mention about the road trip is last June I decided to go vegan, and I knew.
And I am not vegan.
Yeah,
I don't think I could do that. So
it was
a lot of respect for that commitment.
It was a big transition for me at the time, but also leading up to the road trip, I was like, this is probably going to be a challenge at some points, especially when you think of small towns like in Arkansas or Texas or so. I'd use my phone to look up vegan options, and it was actually one of the highest rated, like, locally owned restaurants in the town anyway. It was called PJ's Rainbow Cafe. It had, like, a hand-painted rainbow sign out front. It was adorable. They had, like, burgers. This place was like...
box, and there was, like, all kinds of, like, old, like, 50s memorabilia on the walls.
They sold cookie jars. They had them, like, lining the top. There was Elvis
just, like,
stuff
random
everywhere.
Cookie jars, too. It wasn't like it was, like... PJ's Diner cookie jars. No, it was just like they went to the Goodwill and bought every cookie jar in the whole.
Yeah, there was like
a $10
beagles and Santa Claus and owls, and yeah, it was very like just you could tell a couple of people really put their heart into this. It was very kind of weird mishmash, and the food was great.
Like a dream, though. It was like really.
It was bizarre. It was such a weird restaurant, and I loved it because I love finding places like that. I mean,
those are the places where I want to like talk to the owner and be like, what made you decide this?
Yeah. How did this happen?
It's like this is so fascinating. Do tell. There's got to be a story behind this. Like, surely you didn't just wake up one day. It's like, cookie jars everywhere.
And all the tables had like family pictures on them. You remember that? Like pictures of like grandma and grandpa. Like, yeah, this is totally. It was
like
totally
family from like that town.
I don't know. It was just like weird family photos.
So
such a dream.
After we ate dinner,
it was carpeted too. Remember?
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird.
That seems like a terrible idea for a restaurant.
So funny.
That'd be so hard to clean.
I had a veggie burger though. It was really good.
The food was amazing. Yeah, I didn't eat very heavily because I was saving myself for the next day. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to the next day.
But after that, we went over.
We went to walk around town. We were walking around, and there was like a cool library. That, like you were talking about, like the architecture of it was like so cool. Like it had like little tiny gargoyles at like the top of every single column of it. It was a really cool like little library. But then I had to use the bathroom, and their courthouse has like public restrooms outside right beside it. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna run up here and use the bathroom real quick. And Alyssa was like, I need to go to the bathroom too. And we walk up there. And there was this giant bluegrass festival going on. Like, it was just all these people, like, picking banjos and mandolins and stuff. And it was so cool.
There was a little park in the middle of the town, and they had all these little gazebos. And each little, like, gazebo had a circle of, like, 5 or 6 people that were singing and playing fiddles. And like they were each having their own mini little concert, and people were just kind of like gathering around them. There was this one house that had like lights strung up outside, and people were just like, it was the
People
most.
were sitting on the lawn just playing.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds awesome.
It was literally like walking into a dream though, because it was like, where does this happen still? Even like, where did all of these people even come from? So we went and got like coffee at this little coffee place, ice cream, and just kind of like walked around and listened to all the music. And
it was so cool. Obviously, she didn't eat ice cream.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had ice cream. It was really good. Yeah, it was super cool. Like, it was just so surreal. Like, it was, and apparently they do it every year for Labor Day. So we plan on actually going back to this next Labor Day and checking out. I want to like take my family and like take my nieces and nephews and my mom. She's always really wanted to go back to like my grandfather's hometown and stuff. She's been there before, but it's been a long time. So, but yeah, we plan on going back. They also have a rock skipping competition. I didn't get to do that, but I'm like really good at skipping rocks, so I'm excited to check that out.
That's part of the charm of like some of these small towns, where it's kind of like the fact that they have rock skipping competitions.
I know.
Like, that's like really cool, but at the same time, it's kind of like, clearly that's a small town where they're kind of like, what do we do this summer? There's a lake. You want to skip rocks? Yes! And so many people, so many people were into skipping rocks. They're like, wait, let's have a competition. It's like, yes!
Yeah.
It was literally called the World Championship of Rock Skipping.
There were posters. It
was so. I was so bummed we had to leave before it. But like we said, we were on a tight schedule, so we had to leave at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
There was no time for rock skipping competition.
But I wonder if it really is like world, like people from around the world, like some guy from Germany's kind of like, this is my time to shine.
Yeah.
Finally, I've spent my entire life skipping rocks, and damn it, I'm gonna be the champion.
I wonder if they're like sponsored and they like get rock sponsors and stuff. So here's John. He's sponsored by Linesburg Quarry. He has the smoothest of limestones.
Does that make a difference? The kind of rock, like maybe limestone, like skips better than granite.
I think it does skip better than granite, but just from amateur rock skipping. I'm no pro or anything. I don't know. Maybe
These are the questions I want to know.
yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. It was really cool. It was a really amazing little town.
That's kind of the beauty of that. Like, that isn't a tourist stop, but we still got to kind of peek in on this little town and this place we wouldn't have made a destination. But it was really unique, and it was really cool. It wasn't LA or Seattle, which we went to both of those as well. But that ended up being one of our favorite stops because it just had so much character, and it was weird, and I like weird places.
I found that like the unexpected places you go to tend to be like some of the most memorable, for either because one, you find something like that where you're just like, what, this exists, this is a thing, or like there's some kind of unique characteristic or charm about like a little town, or I don't know, like a park or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like those are some of the favorite ones, but at the same time that's a beauty, but also kind of the downside, like when you're traveling, like you come across these places, you're like, I want to spend more time here, but when you're on a schedule, you're kind of like, but we gotta leave.
Yeah, so that was the bad thing, but also the good thing, because like now we know where we want to go back. So it's like we saw so much, but there's so much we didn't see. So, but like I said, we had to leave at 7 in the morning the next day. So we left Mountain View, Arkansas, and we went to Amarillo, Texas.
To that steakhouse? I forget the name of it, but yes,
Yeah,
I've been there.
You've been there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, when I drove to New Mexico, me and my sister, she was kind of like, we gotta stop here at this steakhouse, because there are like signs for it in New Mexico, because it's that big of a deal.
It is.
It's the Big Texan Ranch.
It is a place.
Steakhouse, and the steakhouse itself is amazing. Like, it is so cool. But we
very
went there.
Texas though on the inside.
Yeah, like have you ever been to like Universal Studios or Disney or anything like that? Like everything is so like themed there.
Yeah.
Like it's all a show, and I felt like that place was like from the moment you walk in the door, you're like in another world. It's like Texas extreme.
Yeah.
Like all the servers are wearing like cowboy hats and boots, and like there's like giant bears and like deer head on the wall, and like
a moose was right above our table.
Yes, like so over the top, but like to the point where it's enjoyable.
Yeah,
like
so
it's shoved down your throat. That whole like
but
Texas.
it's endearing though.
It's
you're
great.
Kind of
like you gotta give into it and just take it for what it is.
No, but we went there because I've been competitively eating probably most of my life. Since I thought competitive eating was a thing, I've been competitively eating, and I always wanted to do the Big Texan Challenge.
Yeah.
When I first heard about that when I was about 9 years old, that was when I was like, yes, I want to do that. Like, so I don't know if you know the challenge, but it's a 72-ounce steak, a side salad, a baked potato, a roll, and a side of shrimp. And if you eat it all in an hour, it's free. And it took me 1 hour and 6 minutes to finish the meal. So I was so close, but what was also comical about that is I was eating 4 pounds of steak right next to my vegan wife.
I had to ask our server, because, you know, obviously they served vegetables there, and I said, do any of these vegetables not have meat in them? And she was like, well, the green beans have bacon in them. And like, I was like, I'll just take a house salad, it's fine. But you didn't even get to eat with me. He literally had to do this challenge on a stage in the middle of this giant restaurant with like a timer above him, and like people would like circle it and take pictures and ask him questions.
That's kind of cool, but at the same time kind of a bummer for you, because you're just like at a steakhouse eating a salad in Texas, where I imagine they're like, a salad?
I'm just glad I wasn't on the stage. Like, I don't like stuff like that at all. He was a champ about it. He was like talking and, you know, doing thumbs up for pictures.
But that was ultimately my demise as well, is because, so what I did is this steak is about as big as your laptop and probably an inch thick or so. So I cut it in fourths and I ate 1/4 of the steak one side. I had 3/4 of the steak and 3 of the sides eaten, and I had 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got this in the bag. Like, this is easy. Everyone else thought the same thing. So everyone started taking pictures with me and talking to me. And everyone was like, oh, man, you're going to do it. And, like, I was posing for pictures and talking to people. And then the next thing I know, I only had 5 minutes left.
Oh.
And I was like, no. Like,
it's like, leave me alone, people. Go away. I got to finish my steak.
So then I just start cutting, and I'm literally just swallowing meat whole. Like, I'm not even chewing anymore. I'm just, like, swallowing steak down. And my timer ran out, so it was a bit anticlimactic.
Was it still worth it, though, the experience?
It was the best steak I've ever eaten in my life.
I would hope so, because again, like the slaughterhouse, I think is on that same lot. So like basically, whatever you're eating, it was killed probably hours before.
It was literally the best steak I've ever eaten in my life, and the experience was amazing. Like, it was so cool. And plus, if we're ever through Amaretto, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I know I can finish it, like, in the hour. I just need to not. I'm going to wear a shirt that says, I'm from Kentucky, and I'll talk to you when I'm done.
So I don't think I could make it through half. That's about like half my size. That I imagine that whole plate of food. I would eat like almost my entire body weight.
Yeah, it was massive.
And then I would like die of a heart attack or something. Like if I did finish it, I'd be like, yeah, and then I just fall over dead.
Oh, there were 2 guys that were up on the stage when we first got there that John kind of joined in as they were kind of at the tail end of their challenge, and these were big dudes, and
they both, like, so you get a shirt no matter what.
Yeah.
These guys both got 3XL.
Wow.
So that's how big these guys were. One guy didn't even eat half of his food. The other guy only had 5 ounces of steak left, and he had 10 minutes. And I was like, dude, just scoop that in your mouth and
You
puke
got it,
later
dude.
if you need to.
Oh my God.
Whatever, man. Like, finish. And he was like, I can't do it. And, like, after eating it, I was like, that wasn't even that much food to me. I do a lot of competitive eating, so I've ate like 50-ounce burgers, and I'm actually working with Mark's Feed Store in Lexington right now to come up with a new eating challenge for them, because I've done so many different like competitions. And
How are you not morbidly obese?
he skateboards all the time.
Okay.
That has
I just always do stuff, so you just keep going, keep it moving. Getting to the morbidly obese part, though, it's like, it's coming on to me. I can feel it getting fatter day by day, so I need to either eat more now while I still can, or start dieting hardcore.
No, just go off into the woods with like a spear and shield, hunt yourself like a wolf or like some kind of wild animal, burn the calories, and then devour the animal.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like maintain a constant like, weight by, burn the calories and then slaughtering the animal, gain the calories back. And you also gain its essence.
Yeah.
So you become more...
one with the wolf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or, whatever animal you kill. Squirrel, bear,
Mine would be more of the squirrel. 100%. one with
But yeah, you got to work your way up. You kill the small rodents first, and then work your way up to like bears and know wildebeest.
You need that to like level up too.
Yeah.
I'm one with the possum.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. No, so that was really cool though. Like that steakhouse was really cool, and literally that's why we went to Amarillo solely, was just so I could eat a 4-pound steak. Like it was the only reason we went there. But it was cool. So then once again we camped like we did multiple times. Woke up at 7 a.m. again, and then started trekking on. So we stopped in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Met up with one of my friends, skated some ditches. While we were I was literally like looking at Google Maps on my phone. My phone, the screen just went black and never came back on.
Did it like just completely die?
It just completely splurted out, like completely just fried. And we're in the middle of a road trip.
That is the worst timing ever.
Thousands of miles from home.
It really was
so crazy. Luckily, we were on our way to Arizona. We were on our way to Phoenix to stay with one of our friends, and so we stayed a whole day in Phoenix. So I was able to get a new phone in Phoenix.
Huh, that's pretty good.
But like literally, I was like, "Well, I have a warranty plan," and they're like, "Yeah, we can do your warranty plan, but they're gonna send your phone to your house."
Oh.
And I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna." We were on day 3 of our trip. I was like, "I'm not gonna be there for 15 more days." And they're like, "I'm sorry, like, if you do a warranty plan, maybe you could have someone send it to you." And I was like, "We're on the road."
Yeah, it's like, that's not going to work out.
And then they're like...
Unless they can send a drone, maybe?
Yeah. I was like, they're like, "Well, you could upgrade your phone, like, you're due for an upgrade." And I was like, all right. So I just upgraded my phone. But, yeah, it was crazy, just, like, in the middle of a trip.
That was a lesson to take away from it, too. Have a schedule, and then plan on everything going wrong and just being able to roll with it. Like, that really could have ruined, like, a good chunk of that day and the next day. And we were just like, all right. Really, Jon gets props for that, because as much as it sucked, like, I would have freaked out if my phone had just completely died, did not know what was going on. And he was just like, all right, we will deal with this tomorrow. Let's enjoy the rest of today. And that's kind of how we just had to, like, roll with it. And, ended up meeting.
I'm a very optimistic person though. Like, people have always said that, like, I'm not a glass half full kind of person. I'm just glad I got something to drink.
Yeah.
Like, so
it's probably the best way to look at life.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely how I've always been. So.
And speaking of being open about stuff, the person we stayed with in Phoenix, Arizona, we had never met before. He was strictly an internet friend, and we probably could have been murdered. Okay, so not flashback. Go back like 7 years. I was playing World of Warcraft, and I was deep in it. Okay, I mean, like, I was like raiding once a week. I
think a lot of people can relate to that.
This was a guildy friend of mine, and we used to talk on Ventrilo, which was like a voice chat thing if you're not familiar. But so I had known this person for years, but I had never met him. Like, we're
Facebook friends.
Yeah, like I feel like in today's world you can be a little bit more. We're Facebook friends. He seemed like a real person.
We follow him on Instagram. Like, Alyssa, I talked to his brother before too. She was Facebook friends with him as well. Like,
we were friends, but also we had listened to a lot of like murder show podcasts on our way there. So I was slightly afraid that we were gonna get murdered.
That's one thing I would like not recommend for people on road trips is don't listen to a bunch of murder podcasts.
Might get you a little paranoid,
especially when you're camping and staying with people you've never met.
But great podcast. We listened to some really good ones.
Short and still, highly recommend that.
Which I guess, to be fair though, like, they're in just as much danger, like, letting like random strangers in their home.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't know if that makes, like, I don't know if anyone listening to this, that makes you feel better. But no, like, that, I don't know, like, I do think that, like, in this modern age, it's actually a few years ago when I did a road trip around Ireland. I met up with a friend of mine there that I'd like met over Xbox Live, and played like Call of Duty and stuff like that.
So in a similar boat,
Like, we had a bond of like slaying zombies and like fighting the evil. So like I was not worried at all. And again, like that's another story for another time. Is that whole trip, because it was just magical in so many different ways. But yeah, like, I don't know. I think it's more something like my parents, like when I would tell them stuff like that, they're kind of like, well, that's why would you do that? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you wouldn't understand. Like when you fight zombies with people on a video game, you form a bond, and it's kind of unbreakable. And so like you trust each other.
Yeah.
Well, also another thing that the listeners, if anyone's listening right now, don't know is I'm actually a giant. So
You're quite tall.
Yeah, I'm 6'4", and I'm like 230. So I'm a pretty big guy. So I wasn't too worried about going to a stranger's house being my size.
But like to be fair, like I'm a Super Saiyan, so I would have been fine as well.
Yeah, she is.
There, so.
Yeah.
No, but like it was a little weird because I talked to him, but I didn't know what his house looked like. I didn't know what his life was like. So I expected him to be kind of like us. He was in his early 30s. We pull up to this.
Doug, if you're listening to this, your house is nice as. Man, you got a nice house.
You can swear on this. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it was like nighttime by the time we rolled up. He comes out to like help us, and I was like, this house is really nice. And then we get in, and I was like, this house is really nice. Like, he had like a luxury
staircase
car.
into the,
what is this? What do you do for a living, Doug? If you're listening,
You never tell us.
Yeah, he was pretty low key about what he did for a living. Something with computers.
Mafia.
Yeah,
I won't judge.
I know, right? It just adds to the mystery and intrigue of the
He
trip.
had a super nice sports car and grand entryway, like a grand piano in the entryway. Like this house was in-ground swimming pool in the back, which we didn't know until the next day. We were like, we should have gone swimming last night.
No, see, I feel like that's like if you have a house like that, that's one of the first things you should bring up to your guests. Like, by the way, there's an in-ground swimming pool. If you all want to go swimming.
Thank you for being on the same level.
Like, you don't wait until you all are about to leave. It's kind of like, oh, it's nice seeing you. By the way, did you know I had a pool?
Yeah,
in-ground pool.
He shouldn't have even shown us the bedroom first. He should have just been like, okay, out here is the in-ground swimming pool, and now I'll show you.
Talk on the phone, and I was like, does he have an in-ground swimming pool?
It's like, well, what else was he hunting? Like a park full of dinosaurs that he genetically created? Seriously, Doug, what do you do for a living? I think that's going to be my biggest question at the end of this here podcast is, what does Doug do?
What does Doug do?
What does Doug do?
Oh, figure out, Doug.
So yeah, we hung out with Doug that night. We took him some nice Kentucky bourbon because that's what you do when you visit
and
people.
Soda.
And so we took him some.
Bourbon is the main thing.
Yeah.
LA1 though, man.
Good combination. Bourbon with some LA1 and some ice cubes.
Yeah, that's what we did. So I call it the Kentucky River Mule. So
I dig it.
So yeah, we hung out. The next day we had to get a new phone for Jon. So we had a really fun trip to the Phoenix, Arizona T-Mobile store.
If you're ever in Scottsdale and you need to go to the T-Mobile store, they're super friendly. That was the best T-Mobile store ever, so I highly recommend it.
Great customer service.
Superb. It was amazing.
Feel free to sponsor this.
Jon had some Korean barbecue.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you've ever had Korean barbecue, but it is. We should go do it.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Is there a place nearby?
So much. There's a place in Louisville. So, but you it's kind of like fondue almost. Like you cook it yourself at the table on this little in-table grill, and I had cow tongue.
I've heard cow tongue is actually very tender and one of the best parts of cow.
It was really good. I had calamari. I had pig belly, bunch of crazy meats, and they had all this really good. So they bring out as much meat as you want because it's unlimited, all you can eat.
Oh man!
So
I think I would just go crazy, give me all the meats.
Yeah, and then they also have all these sides that they sit down too. So they had what is that one stuff?
Kimchi.
So they had
but
regular
that's like
kimchi.
a spicy cabbage.
Yeah. So they had regular kimchi, and then they also had cucumber kimchi, which was really good too. And it was really, just all of that was
Well,
really
the side dishes are a big part of Korean style eating. So there was a lot of, they have a name, but I can't think of what it is. But yeah, I did not eat the endless mountains of meat that you and Doug were cooking.
Yeah,
but
it's shrimp, everything.
Not a big fan of shrimp though.
I love it all. I had a ton of food. That was my main goal for this trip was to just eat as much as possible.
That's again one of my favorite things about traveling is trying new foods. Again, whether it be local to a certain country or certain even state, because certain states in certain areas have their
Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, something like that, where they have like their kind of known dish. Where it's like, oh, if you're going to Chicago, you gotta have like the deep dish pizza or something like that.
We
Going
love
to
to do
Arkansas,
that.
you gotta have the chocolate gravy.
Chocolate gravy?
Yeah.
Like, is it actually like chocolate
Gravy.
Really?
Yeah, it's so good.
Is it like a dessert or?
No, it's like you eat it on like a biscuit, just like you would regular gravy or pancakes.
I think that seems weird, but you put syrup on pancakes, so I mean, I guess it's not that weird.
I think it'd be weirder if it was like put on mashed potatoes, something. That'd be a little. But yeah, biscuits I can deal with, but someone puts it on mashed potatoes, like, no, get that off my plate.
You've crossed the line.
Yeah, you've crossed the line. I don't like contradicting foods. It's either sweet or it's not sweet. Can't be both.
It is both. I'm gonna eat on mashed potatoes next time I have chocolate gravy. So. But yeah, so Korean barbecue isn't like a big thing in Scottsdale. We just, I think Doug is Korean. Is he?
I don't remember.
He's of Asian descent.
Okay, we found out something new about Doug. Breaking
What
discovery.
does Doug do? He also took us for sake bombs, which was exciting.
Sake is
Another,
delicious.
Was it another Korean restaurant?
No, that was a Japanese restaurant.
Oh.
Because sake is Japanese.
But yeah, so we did sake bombs, and it was like crazy. We walk into this restaurant, and all Doug did was look at this guy, and he goes, "Sake," and like this guy just brings us out like all sake and like these like beers that are like Japanese beers and stuff, and like it was like the owner of the restaurant was like treating him like he was like this like some big shot, and we were like, what is going on right
This
now?
podcast is going to shift into conspiracy theories about what Doug actually does.
Also, that'll be a trending thing on like social media, like the YouTube comments, like, "What does Doug do?"
At Korean barbecue, it was the same way too. He goes in, and they're like, "Oh, welcome back, sir. Right this way." And, like we like sit down, and like you're not, if you don't eat like the unlimited food, you're not supposed to be able to sit at the table where the unlimited food is. And obviously Alyssa wasn't eating the meat, but he was like, she's not getting the food, like the unlimited. And they're like, oh, okay, no problem. Like, sorry about that. Like, I mean, like waiting on us, like hand and foot. Like, I don't know what he said he had like something to do with opening some of these restaurants. So I don't know what he had to do with it, but it was pretty crazy.
Did you think to like ask any of the people? It's like, psst, what does Doug do?
We should have. We should like pulled him aside.
Of course, they'd probably be like, I can't tell you that. I can't disclose that information. Like, sweet guy, love him to death, but I just can't tell you what he does.
Yeah, like when my phone was messing up, he was like, I could probably hack your phone. And like, I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I mean, I haven't done it in a little while, but I mean, I got some programs in my house I could run on it. And I was like, I'll just get a new phone, man. It's cool. Like,
it's like, can you install rocket launchers on there? Like, what can you do with this hacking, Doug? Because you clearly are well connected. What can you offer me, sir?
How deep does this go?
yeah. No, but yeah, so then we went to a brewery too. Checked out some breweries there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That is another thing we love is beer.
Yes.
We drink a lot of local beer on our trip.
Yeah.
Cougar Bait is a good local beer here.
Lexington has like an awesome beer scene.
Yeah, they have like 6 or 7 microbreweries now. I mean, they're so good. We love it. Yeah. Cougar Bait's man. Have you had the key lime Cougar Bait?
I've not. I've only had Shotgun Wedding and the, I guess, standard Cougar Bait.
I love Shotgun Wedding.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
Like, I could down a whole lot of Shotgun Wedding.
So good.
A little off topic. Have you ever been to the Hofbrauhaus in Newport? It's a German restaurant. Like, it's really.
Oh yeah. Okay, like on the levee, right?
Yeah. It's got some of the best beer you'll ever have, and they have it like in liters. Like you get like a liter, which is like the biggest size. You can get half liters, but it's just amazing. So it's like, yeah, you got to get like at least a liter of one of their beers.
So what you're saying is we should come back another time and all talk about our favorite beers.
Oh yeah, I could
drink.
Yes.
We should totally do a beer podcast.
New podcast coming soon.
We're just gonna start a whole chain of new podcasts. Beer talk, travel talk. What does Doug do?
What does Doug do?
It's like a podcast where everybody just has like you have like people who don't even know. Yeah. So this is what we know about this guy.
Viewers submit your theories.
Yeah.
That would be excellent. Yeah, so we drank some good beer. We didn't do a lot of outdoorsy stuff because
it's so hot in Arizona.
Phoenix is a frying pan.
Like
I would probably burst into flames because, as you can tell, I'm very pale, ghostly pale.
We went
It
to
is so hot.
So we went and had sake bombs at this like Japanese place, and then like it got dark while we were in there. Like as we were in there drinking for a couple of hours, hanging out. And then we leave this place, and it's still like 90 degrees outside. It's like dark. It was so
Shouldn't
weird.
be that hot when it's nighttime.
Yeah, I mean, it did not cool down one bit when the sun went down. It was still just as hot as this. It was like it threw me off. I couldn't register how hot I was because it was weird.
It also completely drains you of energy. Literally, we went out for Korean barbecue for lunch. We went back to Doug's house. We all fell asleep in his. Oh, you didn't.
I got on my phone. And
Me and Doug fell asleep in the living room for a solid 30 minutes. Then we got back out. We rallied, and then we went back out again because.
What if Doug is the Batman of Phoenix? What if he while you all were sleeping, you were walking around his house, you pull a book from a bookshelf or something, and then bam, secret entrance.
I could totally see that.
Yeah, I could have.
We might be onto something.
He had a really nice car. I mean,
He had a garage too that we never got to see the inside.
Yeah.
You could have a Batman.
He talked about cars in there too. I don't know.
He had a Honda Hobbit too. That was pretty cool.
I don't know what that is, but we're onto something here.
It's a moped. It's like a motorized pedaling bike. So it was pretty cool. They're really old school.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. So Arizona was awesome. So then we woke up at 5 a.m. the next morning, and
way too early.
Drove to Los Angeles, and because we only had 4 hours in LA, we literally had to make it from Phoenix, Arizona, to Bakersfield, California, via Los Angeles. By 8 o'clock at night. So we were trying to make it by 6, but 8 o'clock was our deadline. We had to be there by 8. And so we were very limited time in Los Angeles. We went to this place called the Barracks. It's a very exclusive skate park. It's invite only.
There are no signs outside. It's literally in a warehouse complex kind of area. You pull up. It doesn't say the Barracks anywhere, but it's world famous. You just kind of gotta know where it is.
And you gotta know people to get in.
Yeah.
So it's
this is not open to the public.
Yeah, not at all. So I know some people that got me in there, so I ended up getting to skate the Barracks, which was really cool.
Or you could have just been I know Doug. It's come
we
right
should
in.
have.
Come right in. You get the exclusive skate rink.
Maybe that's how I really got in.
Yeah.
It's Doug called and he was yo, my boy's coming.
Yeah. They were about to be no, you
For
can't come in. But then again, they got a little message oh, Doug says he can come in.
Yeah. It's weird because if you don't know anything about the skateboarding world, it's not impressive to be oh, this pro was there or this person was here. But we were literally hanging out in a little lounge area with these people who were in magazines and skate. I mean, these were famous people in their world. It didn't mean anything to me per se because I didn't know who they were. But we leave and John's oh my god, I can't believe all these people were here, and it was
literally,
bizarre.
One of my favorite pro skaters showed up at that park while I was there. And his name's Seva Kurtov. He's a Russian. And I was I wanted to fangirl out on him so bad. But I was I'm in LA. I can't fangirl out on people. If we were in Kentucky, I totally would have fangirled out on him. But I was no, I'm in LA. Pros are they just live here. I just have to handle this. And he came up to me and was hey, I'm Sevo. Introduced himself.
What?
And I was I guess people might have thought that I was someone important.
Yeah, because you should mention it's a huge indoor skate park. It's not there were 50 people in there. There was 10 of us.
Yeah.
And all of them were famous.
Except for me. We were the only people who were.
So I think that's why everyone was introducing themselves to you, because they were oh, who's this guy? He must ride or film or make merch for some company.
You should have just rolled with it's yes.
No, that's why he was just oh yeah, I'm Jon Jennings.
I was just yeah,
hey.
I'm Jon Jennings.
And they were probably getting hold of their agents who is this Jon Jennings? He's an up and coming skater? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
How did he get here?
What's funny is so this one guy introduced himself to me. His name was Jason Turtle, and he is actually an up and coming skater. I just saw him in a video today, and I was oh man, I know that guy. He was super cool. So yeah, it was pretty insane.
Yeah, most of LA was skateboarding, which it's iconic in skate.
Yeah.
Skate culture, skate history. We went
where
to
skateboarding started.
Yeah, we went to Venice Beach right afterwards. We
went to the courthouse.
You're right. You're right.
So the courthouse in Los Angeles, so many people skated there that like in the courtyard out in front of the courthouse, when they shut the courthouse down and built a new one, Nike bought the property out front and made it all skateable.
Oh, wow.
So it's like an amazing skate spot still to this day. Like, it's so cool. And like you don't get kicked out from skating there or anything. Like,
that's
it's
awesome.
100% legal. So we went and checked that out, and it was way too good for me. Like, everything was so slick and perfect and just grinded amazing, and I just couldn't handle it. I fell so hard so many times because I'm used to skating really crappy spots here in Kentucky, so like it was pretty terrible, but awesome at the same time. And then we went to Venice Beach, where they have a giant skate park on Venice Beach too. Plus the boardwalk is known for skateboarding, and at Venice Beach there was a pro skater there, like skating in one of the pools. And I was like sitting there watching him. He was like, "Hey, what's up, man? You gonna drop in?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm just watching you." And he was like, "My name's David Gonzalez." And I was like, "Oh man, I'm John." Like, I was just like, "That's."
It's like you'll know of me soon. Some of the other pro skaters, they'll be.
You'll
get my rounds.
Yeah. You'll see me on the barracks later. Like,
it's like you've been to the barracks. Oh my god.
Well, I was talking to some of the guys, and they're like, "How'd you get in?" And I was like, "I just know a guy. Like, knows a guy." Like,
and I now know that guy, so you know.
Some more connections.
Yeah.
Venice Beach was another one of those places that was kind of had that like fun, weird culture. Like there were all these like little beach stalls that had little shops, and there was like people. What's it called when they like? Is it busking when they're like playing music and stuff like that?
And stuff
yeah, like
they had music and
yeah, it just had like
I
a
love
really
street musicians.
Yeah, it just had so much like lively culture. There's restaurants, so there like it smelled
everywhere.
good. There was like the palm trees had graffiti on them, which I have a really cool picture of.
It was
Venice
everywhere.
Beach was really cool.
It was cool. Yeah, it was awesome. But then we went to a little vegan restaurant down there, and then we got stuck in the notorious Los Angeles traffic.
Imagine that was just awful.
Literally, we only had to drive 2 hours to Bakerfield, and it took us 4 hours to get there.
Wow.
Yeah, and we made it to our campsite at like 7:50. Like, we had to be there by 8, remind you, and we made it at 7:50. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So we made it right as they were closing the gates and stuff, and checked in and camped out. And then
so did you all do exclusive like camping, or did you stay in like hotels?
We had friends. We did camping.
We only stayed in one hotel on the whole trip, and that was on the last day. We either stayed with family or friends, or stayed in campsites.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. So it was really cool. I feel like that's the only way to do it too. Like, you just see so much. I highly recommend to stay in KOAs and national parks though, because the Bakersfield campsite was this kind of like generic, like, I don't know, it was by this lake, but it wasn't really patrolled or anything. And
the lake was beautiful.
The lake was so amazing.
And we had gotten.
It was full. I mean, it was like beautiful.
We had gotten the whole camping thing down to a pretty good science. We could get our tent up and everything set up pretty quickly, and we had gotten pretty used to it. We took showers there in like these little like bathrooms. I mean, they were standard park bathrooms, but like think of every park bathroom you've been in. They're normally pretty terrible, and so like it was pretty awful.
Yeah. And then like we were the only people camping there because like there were 2 RVs so far away we could barely see the lights of them. Like they were tiny in the distance on the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
Well, it was on the other side of the park, like around the lake. The lake like went around this park kind of. And so we were pretty much the only people in this park. And then at 4 or 2 minutes.
I'd almost feel like I'm in a horror
Oh yes,
movie.
Also remember we talked about how many murder podcasts we listened to.
Yeah. So then at 2,
how are we gonna die tonight?
well, at 2 a.m, we wake up to this guy yelling at our tent. Hey, you bitches over there, wake up and bring me a beer! And I was like, wait, what's going on? And these people like came to this park to just like party and do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Like they weren't even camping there. They just had like broken in and like were going to the pond. And for some reason they thought it would be a great idea to just be 3 campsites down from us. No one else in the entire park.
This place was huge.
They could have picked anywhere down the entire lake that they wanted, and they wanted to pick 3 spots down from us. they were blaring loud music. I mean, such loud music. And the music was actually music I like, so that wasn't even the worst part. But they just kept screaming. Yeah. And, like, I guess they were skinny dipping, and, like, they were like, just swimming. Like, we could hear them swimming. And, like, at one point, this guy was screaming, he's like, I'm the Acid King! I'm the Acid King!
Listen, they were living their best life and having a great night, and I don't fault them for that. But we gave it an hour, 2 hours. They had literally all their car doors open, their radio turned up as loud as it could go, and we were like, we have to be old people now and call the cops because...
I was just finally like, that's it, I'm calling the police. So I called the park rangers, and they were like, yeah, you're gonna have to call the sheriff. I was like, what? Like, this is like...
But then there's the very real fear of, like, we're gonna call the cops, they're gonna come out and be like, there's been a noise complaint, and there's only one other tent in the entire park.
Who could have done
it? And again, murder podcasts, I was like, this is how we're gonna go.
Here's how I would rationale. It's like, they're more likely to die in a murder or like some kind of killing because that's how horror movies work. If you're partying and like stuff like that, they're the first to go.
Right.
You all would be, best case scenario, or I guess like one of the best case scenarios, the last ones to go. So like, they
so they would be the ones that kill us.
No, like they would die. You'd stumble across their bodies and be like, oh god, and you'd be trying to escape. So like, you'd be the last ones to go. So like, there's that, or you are the ones who do escape. Because you're like, they're dead. Let's get out of here. Yeah. Rather than try to investigate and look for clues or whatever, you're like, yeah, let's just leave.
We've got to get up to Portland today. I mean,
so we ended up calling the police, and when I talked to the sheriff, they were like, do you want the sheriff to make contact with you? And I was like, no.
We are right next to them.
Just take care of this.
Please don't knock on our tent flap.
I was like, we're at campsite 63. They're at campsite 67. Like, we're the only two tents in the entire park. Like, no, we don't want them to make contact. So I was like, what I would really like is for them to just patrol around and make it like and like the music was so loud. The lady was like, I can hear the music on the phone. Like I can hear them screaming and stuff. I was like, yeah, just if they come into the park, they're gonna hear them. They're gonna see them. Like they're very loud and belligerent and stuff. And we just want to come. We just want someone to know that this is going on. So they ended up coming in and circling around, and they made it look pretty good to where they were just patrolling because they came through the main gate, and instead of coming straight to where we were, they like drove over where the other RVs were and drove around the lake and then came over by us. And but yeah, so then the people were pretty quiet after that. And the only thing that kept us up after that was this family of raccoons.
That was the best part about that park. There was a baby.
I was laying there, and like, so these people were screaming, and I look up, and I was like, is that a lemur? I just see this thing like reaching down, like trying to grab something.
I love that that's your first. I mean, John, we were in California. We weren't in like, I don't even know where lemurs are from. Like,
I was just so out of it. I was so disoriented because these people were screaming. And I saw this crazy thing. I couldn't tell what it was. I just saw the shadow of it, like reaching. It didn't look like a raccoon or anything, but it was a raccoon, and it's little baby and little mama and papa raccoons. And there was a dog bone over by our tent, and that's
so
what they
we
tried to
watched
find.
them eat it. It was so cute.
Yeah. So and then they kept coming back to us, like we would shine our light on them, and they weren't scared of us at all. They were just like sitting there looking at us, and they would like kind of like sway around. They were really cute.
Just imagine animals at like parks. They're probably used to that. It's just kind of like, yo, where's my food?
Yeah.
I came all this way. Where's my food?
Yeah.
We're not leaving until you give us food. I don't care if it's scraps or full blown meals. You got to feed us something.
Yeah, they were adorable. I went to this was not on this trip. I went to Northern California years ago, and there was this lake that kind of had like a beach that people went to, and deer would just like walk through the people as they were so used to people would like reach out and touch them and stuff. Like it was really it was pretty cool. But that was the best part about that park was the raccoons.
And the lake.
The lake was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful
it was
place. Yeah. The showers were scary. And
and then the scary people were scary.
The scary people. We didn't get murdered though, so.
Yeah, we lived to tell the tale, so that's the good.
Well, also the other thing about that is we still had to get up super early in order to make it to our next. So it's not like we could sleep in after being kept up all night. Like,
Yeah.
Nope, we were up bright and early.
We had to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning again and start driving.
Rough.
And so then we woke up at 7 in the morning, and then we drove to Oakland. And
that was fun.
wow, one of my friends, he actually is originally from Oakland. He moved to Kentucky for a while in high school. Me and him met in high school, hung out a whole lot. He's a really good friend of mine. And then he ended up moving back to Oakland when he got older. I mean, probably when he was about 30 or so. So we've been friends for about 10, 12 years before he moved back to California. And I've been trying to make it out to hang out there for a while. And so it just worked out. What's weird, though, is so my friend, we call him Cali because he was from California.
Yeah.
But we were hanging out with him in California. So it's like weird to like call him Cali because that's why we called him that.
It's like, what's your real name again? I don't even remember anymore.
I really didn't know his real name for like 6 months. I was actually at his house one time when we were younger. We were probably like, I was in like 10th grade, 9th or 10th grade. And I was hanging out at his house. And like I said, we've been friends for like probably 8 or 9 months. And his mom kept talking about this James guy. Like, oh, James does this and James does that. And I was like, hey, dude, who's James? Is that like your brother or something? And he was like, that's me, you dumbass. I was like, oh, dude, I thought your name was Jason. And he's like, no, my name's James. I was like, oh, okay. I just always called him Cali. Like, I don't know. Like, I was the first one. Like, he did like the whole like stand up in front of the class and tell everybody where you're from. A couple things later. So, and I wasn't paying attention to him until he was like, I'm from California. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I was like, hey, Cali. And he turned around, and that's all I ever called him. So.
The funny thing about Oakland is, like, this is one thing that was interesting on our trip, too, is I had, like, this really preconceived notion of, like, what I thought Oakland was going to be like. I always heard it was kind of rough. Like, we pull into Oakland. Obviously, it's kind of on the outskirts of
San Francisco.
San
it's right across
Francisco.
the bay.
Yeah, it looks right over it.
It's a great area.
But it was this beautiful neighborhood, kind of like up on this
up in the
hillside. His neighborhood was really cute. We get to his house, and he knew he only had, what was it, 3 hours? And he was like, all right, get in the car, 3-hour speed tour of Oakland. And like, it was
so
amazing.
Fun. So like, my buddy Callie's like this super high, like energetic, like just like, like in your face kind of person. Well, he had his buddy, what was
Masuko?
So his buddy Masuko's like this really
He's
like
total polar opposite.
So he was like this like really calm like little Asian guy who was just like, yeah, so over here this building was actually in a couple movies, and then if you look like it was
and Cal is like, Masuko, we don't have time. Let's go get Vietnamese food. And it's like driving through 90 miles an hour. And he's like calling his sister.
He's like honking at people.
Yeah. He's like, get out of the way. So like he had a list of things he wanted us to see. And one of them was getting, what are those sandwiches? The Vietnamese sandwiches.
By me.
By me? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, by me.
It was in, you know, it was in a like good authentic place because it smelled bad. Like, it smelled kind of fishy in there, which sounds mean, but like if you've ever been in Asian markets, like they smell kind of weird.
Yeah, they got odd scent to them.
It's just like the
it was
seafood
also
and
an
stuff
Asian
like that.
Market too. It was
Asian
market slash restaurant.
Yeah, and it was just like this guy at a counter, and like there was pictures up on the wall, and he would just kind of like yell at you, and he was really gruff, and the sandwiches were amazing. So we got those. Good. We hopped back in his car.
So there's this like old naval base that they've like started revamping. It's like all ran down and stuff. It's been vacant for years.
I think they've used it in movies, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
It looks like something you would find in like Left 4 Dead. Like it looks like
I love those games.
Zombies for sure could exist there.
But it's like literally like there's a skate park in this naval base that was there since that was a naval base. So it's like a pretty old skate park. And then now there's like a bunch of like stores and restaurants opening up in the vacant buildings on this base. And there was like a brewery there, Fraction Brewing. And literally from the like patio of the brewery, you could look out over the whole entire bay, and you could see San Francisco.
That's awesome.
It was very cool.
Like, it was super cool. So that was really awesome.
It was kind of funny because we were like, go, go, go. And then we get there, and then we all like sit down with our beer, and he's like, look at this beautiful view. And we're just like looking out over San Francisco. Our original plan had been to go to San Francisco, and then we realized we didn't have time.
Yeah, so I planned like this whole trip. Well, the original campsite we were supposed to get was only 2 hours outside of San Francisco. So I was like, all right, like, that way we have 3 hours in Oakland, and then we can spend like a couple hours in San Francisco, and then drive up to our next campsite. Well, I'd forgotten that campsite was full because it was Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
So we actually had to get another campsite that was just north, but I guess I never checked the distance. Well, it was another 2 hours north of our original campsite.
Oh, wow.
So it was a 4-hour drive to our next campsite. And so when we realized that, because my buddy was like, y'all just stay here and drive to your campsite in the morning. And I was like, well, that wouldn't be too bad. It's only 2 hours away. But when I looked it up and realized that it was like 4.5, almost 5 hours of traffic, I was like, yeah, there's no way we can do that. Because then we had another 2 hours to our next campsite the next day. So it literally would have been an 7-8 hour drive to our final destination that next night. And I was like, that's just too much, man. So we had to leave, skip San Francisco, and go straight to the Redwood Forest.
Which is one of my favorite places in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy those trees are so massive.
Well, it was crazy as so.
It is so cool.
I was driving and I was like, I'm so tired. And Alyssa was like, well, I can drive for a little bit if you need me to. And I was like, all right. So I let her drive and I fell asleep in the passenger side. Well, she like wakes me up and she's like, hey, John, wake up. I wake up and like, it was like giant land. Like,
everything. Pitch black except for the headlights of the car, even though it wasn't nighttime yet. These trees had just completely covered the canopy. So it was this tunnel of these massive tree trunks.
And like literally some of them were so big they like pushed the road over. Like the road like had to like swerve around these it was so crazy. And I like thought I was dreaming. I was like, is this even real life?
Yeah, because I know the first time like I saw like pictures and stuff like that in like or movies or National Geographic, I'm like, there's no way these trees are that big. And then I was kind of like, they're that big. Like you could pretty much like build like a house.
Have you ever been to the Redwoods?
No, the furthest west I've ever been is New Mexico.
Oh yeah, you already said.
Yeah,
like
it is
in person.
Like no picture does it justice.
Yeah. The scale. Like I remember the first time I saw something. What I think was truly big. I went to, I think, the Natural History Museum in Cincinnati when I was a kid. And I remember walking into the lobby and looking up at, like, the dome ceiling. And it kind of, like, took my breath away. It was so, like, big. And that's how, like, the Redwoods are to me. Like, you stand next to one and you look up and you really, like, take in how, like, this is a skyscraper that is a tree. And it, like, it feels very, like... have you ever seen like Princess Mononoke? Like
I haven't actually.
It has this like very like magical. I don't know. Like it's kind of like this like misty kind of. It
was super cool.
So cool, and we got to camp. So our first campsite, we got there late at night.
It was on the southern point of the Redwood Forest, so we camped there, and then.
So we got to wake up in the Redwoods. The next day we had set aside some time to actually go hiking because we had also been go.
Yeah.
And I had told him before, this is already one of my favorite places. I wanted to spend some time. So we kind of took a day, for one, just to be out of the car a little bit and to kind of take in. So we went hiking. We saw a couple of like the really big guys.
Founders Grove, which is like the original... the first trees that they decided to save that are dedicated to the founders, the people who decided to save them. And then we also saw, it's actually since fallen down. It fell down, I think, like 1991.
The Dryerville Giant?
Yeah, it's the largest tree that was ever in the Redwood Forest, recorded in the Redwood Forest. It was 370 feet tall.
My God.
And
that is insane.
They said when it fell down, there was... seismic waves that could be felt from like 10 miles away. Like,
wow. That's how massive it was. It was really cute because we were walking through and they had these little brochures that it would get to like a little like one on a plaque and you'd like read it. And there was this really cute couple. Where were they from? Russia?
Yeah, they were from Russia.
At first they were kind of like lagging behind us, but then every time I would stop and I would read it out loud, just like for me and John, and they would get like a little closer each time. And then finally they'd like walk up and they'd be like, continue.
It was when we got to the giant, we were looking at it and we were like, oh, is this the big one? And the Russian guy walks up and he's like, well, if you read the brochure like you've been doing, he's like, read it aloud to us so we know if it is the big one.
It's like, quit slacking, you gotta educate us.
They joined us for the rest of the like pathway through these trees. And
they were super cool.
They were adorable. They were actually the ones who told us to go to Crazy Horse, which was later in the trip. So that's another cool thing, is like meeting people along the way. Like,
we also went to, so after we saw the Founders Grove, we went to Arcata, which is this tiny little town that's literally like in the middle of the Redwood Forest, pretty much. It's like right off of like the main path of the Redwood Forest, just like right on the outskirts of it. It's in Crescent City. Yeah, it's like right outside Crescent City. Yeah. It's this little town called Arcata, and it was super cool little town. Like we went to a skate shop there and like just walked around. Went to like we went and got coffee or something. Yeah,
we went and got coffee. It's right on like the coast, but it's like that's what I like about northern like California and stuff like that is it's like cold. Like I had gone to like Florida beaches and stuff as a kid, and then going up there it was like cold and like the beach had like stone. We actually stopped at the beach up there too, and very like gray, and that's my kind of beach. Like that's me all the way.
That's more my beach because again, me being so pale, like
I'm
very awkward when I'm on the beach because I'm like, what do I do? Because I'm not a strong swimmer, so I can't just like jump right in and be like, I'm a dolphin. And I feel like that lame person that'd be like sitting on the beach, like just like.
That's just like sunblock on.
That's what you do at those cold beaches though. You just kind of like look out onto the waves and just contemplate things.
See, I can dig that.
I wanted to go surfing. I was like, let's hit it.
No, not me. I was like collecting rocks.
I wouldn't trust myself to surf. I'd probably like fall every time. And again, I'm just kind of like I don't like the fact that like someone was like. Water. I want to walk. I want to more or less walk on that. I want to be Jesus. It's just like it's like well, okay, we clearly can't walk on water. Let's carve up these trees and just like figure out a way to like we'll call it surfing. Yeah. It's like I don't know.
I'm for it. Yeah.
I'm adventurous, but like water, I'm not a strong swimmer, so I just be like I'm just gonna drown.
I'm like an okay swimmer, but I'm more like
on the swim team in high school.
Kentucky water kind of girl.
Think you're better than me?
Maybe at swimming, yeah. What are you talking about?
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Like I'm comfortable in like creeks and lakes. Like I will straight up get in some like natural, but like the ocean kind of scares me.
That's more my thing. Like, and again, I'm very short, so like if I can't reach the bottom, which that doesn't take very far, like for me to not be able to reach the bottom. I'm kind of like, if I start to drown, I'm just gonna be like, nope. This is
plus, also in Kentucky, it's like, oh, it might be like a snake or a turtle, and in the ocean, it's just
it's like a shark, or when we were in the Bahamas, we saw a barracuda.
Yeah, stingray. I mean, it's just
there you go. There's terrifying creatures in the ocean.
Yeah, we did not get in the water. Actually, we didn't get in the ocean at all on our trip.
We got our feet wet, but that was it.
But so we went to Arcata, which was a city I really liked, and I forgot what it was called for the longest time, and I was like, yeah, it was a city, it was called like Arcadia or something like that, and finally we figured it out. You got to tick something off of your bucket list. John was so excited to drive through this tree. I can't even tell you. We had to pay. It was this weird little stop. It wasn't even like a big touristy attraction.
It was like private property, and it was like
there was a hut out front.
And it had a place where you drop your money in. Like it wasn't even someone taking money. It was like $5 to drive through the tree.
Hand-painted sign.
Yeah, I was like, if you don't leave it, then, or if you don't pay, then you will be prosecuted or something. Or,
how will they know?
I don't know. Maybe they had cameras. I don't know. I paid.
He really wanted to drive through that tree, though.
And it was only $5, and I drove through the tree twice, so I got my money.
Now you can say you've driven through a tree.
He wanted me to take his picture the second time, so I had to get out of the car.
There was no one else over there, so I was like, hey, get out and take my picture. So, yeah.
He got $10 worth of tree experience. So
yeah, it was amazing. No, I really enjoyed driving through a tree. Like, with the rest of our trip, I was like, can you believe we drove here through a tree?
It's like all the rest of the stuff is cool, but I drove through a tree.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed by that.
You were.
Yeah, I was super excited.
Like, aliens could have come down and you're like, yeah, that's cool, but I drove through a tree, guys. Hey, aliens, I drove through a tree.
It's so fun, though, because, like, as you get older, there's very few things I find that kind of trigger that, like, childlike, just, like, wonderment. And that was that for John. Like, driving through that tree, he was like, how is this even possible? This tree is big enough to drive through. And so, like...
so big a car can go through.
As much as I give you a hard time about it, like, it was adorable to see something that was genuinely that exciting, because it doesn't happen a lot when you're an adult.
Like adults, we need that kind of childlike.
Like every once in a while, you need to find something.
Because life kind of sucks when you're an adult. You gotta pay bills, you gotta pay for insurance and stuff like that. But every now and then, you have those moments where you're like, I'm a kid again. Yeah. And then you go back to reality and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I spend most of my life in the kid reality, though. So.
I mean, as you all can see by like your surroundings, I'm very much a child at heart. With my pop figures, my comics, and
I think that's
movie
why we
posters.
get along so well. We're both just 15-year-olds at heart still. So.
I wouldn't even say 15. I wouldn't go. I'm like 12. I'm like, even if I like shave, I look like I'm 12. So
you get the kids buffet still.
if I shave, probably I'd be like, I'm a little kid. Kids buffet. It's like, sure, kid, eat up. You need to be big and strong. But,
when I grow up, I'm gonna run this place.
this is as tall as I'm getting.
Yeah. No, so it was super cool though. So then we went to the northern part of the Redwood Forest and
stayed
we
in the other
camped
night
there as well. And it was just so cool, like being in this forest. We actually camped close to a lake, or not a lake,
a river. Oh yeah.
And like we went out to the river, and it was like so beautiful, and it was like amazing. Like everything was just so pretty in the Redwood Forest.
I feel like that'd be a place where like if Bigfoot just came out of the forest, it'd be like, it makes sense.
There was a lot of Bigfoot merch up there. I'm just saying, there was a lot.
Where the original Bigfoot sightings are.
Because you could see it, like you walking through that, you were just like, mythical creatures could live here, like totally.
Or like little fairies and stuff like that started coming out of the trees.
Sure,
You're like,
for
obviously,
sure.
of course, this is where fairies would live.
Wouldn't even be surprised. Like I would just be like, this
Or
is
like
my
elves.
reality. Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing too about the redwoods is they're so tall. They grow in 3 different atmospheres.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like not even like climate, like atmospheres. Like that's insane to think that something's so tall. So. I mean, who knows? Maybe there are fairies in the very top.
Or maybe that's where Bigfoot lives. He climbs all the way to the top. And the big feet, Sasquatches, whatever you want to call them, they just live in the upper levels. Yeah. And obviously, we're not flying planes in there. So, like, they're just like, haha, we've got him fooled.
The lowest branch is like 100 feet up. Like
that is
150
insane.
feet up. Like, it was insane. Yeah, it was really cool. The Redwood Forest is probably also one of my favorite places I've ever been. Like, I thought I was going to be most excited about, like, the cities we were going to. We were going, like, LA, we were going to Oakland, like, going to Seattle. No, like, the parks and stuff that we saw.
Yeah, like, natural beauty, I think, is one of my favorite, like, seeing, like, again, oceans and, like, lakes, rivers, and just, like, these remote kind of random areas where you just happen to stumble across. Those have always been my favorite things. Like, again, the cities, like, you know, Paris and London, they're fine. But, like, I'm not a big city person. Like, they're fine for a couple of days, and I'm like, I've seen they're just like any big city. And also, you don't really get a good, in my opinion, you don't get a good authentic experience of what that state or country or whatever is like in the big cities just because they accommodate for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you go to like some tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, you're kind of like, this is what these people are like, and go to like the pub and just be like, all right, what's a good meal or what's a good beer you all would recommend?
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yeah, that's actually a really great segue into the next city we went to, which was Portland.
No, I was talking about like Ferndale. We forgot to talk about that.
Oh, we did go to, but Ferndale
like
was really
tiny
cool.
little, like this lady was like, oh, go check out the Victorian houses. They're like 100 years old.
This was a lady that was a park ranger at the Redwoods,
Yeah.
and like we try to make a habit of being like, what's cool to do here?
Yeah.
Like,
we always go to like the biggest tourist attractions and talk to who works there to find out what's cool to do around there.
or what are good restaurants, or like whatever.
So she told us to go there, and it was a really cool little, like, it literally looked like it was built 100 years ago and they never changed anything. Like, this town, if it would have had a dirt road, it would have not been any different. Like,
Yeah, the grocery store had like a hand-painted sign hanging out of it. Everything was very like Victorian. There was actually a tiny little vegan vegetarian restaurant there that was adorable, and the
so
food
good,
was
too.
so
It was
good.
amazing.
It was just this like grumpy little dude with like little pot belly, and he had like
It
goatee.
looked like he could have been like a gnome or something.
He was magical, and like when we first went in there, it was this tiny little just
He
like
was very flamboyantly gay too, so it was really funny because he was like, "Oh my God, you are just burning everything! Get off the grill! Get off the grill!
Yeah.
I'll just cook it! I'll just cook everything!"
There was some drama going on there that day, but the food was great, and it was like this tiny little building like squished between these other ones. And when we first walked in, he was like, "We're not open yet," and he like sent us out, which
He's
worked
like,
out.
"Come back at noon."
Yeah, so he sent us back out, which kind of worked out because then we
Yeah.
just walked down the street and kind of saw all the buildings and all these like really cool little shops. And
yeah, really like cool movie theater.
Like really,
1950s movie theater.
Yeah, the ticket booth was outside.
I would love to see a movie in like one of those old school theaters.
For sure. Have you ever been to the Kentucky Theater
in downtown Lexington? Mm-hmm. Yes,
I
saw like last year around Halloween. I saw Halloween actually, which was actually really cool because like I never seen it obviously on the big screen because that was way before my time. But yeah, it was this really cool experience because I'm like, man, this is so cool because I feel like I am back in like 1979.
Yeah, I love that theater.
Yeah, so it was super cool. It was like even more old school than the Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Like it was really cool.
It was a very cool little town that someone just kind of told us to go to. We had great food. We met some cool people while we were there. But yeah, like Portland, which I had kind of built up in my head.
Mm-hmm. So then once again we slept. Woke up at 7 in the morning, drove, and we went to Portland, Oregon. And
I kind of thought this was going to be like my mecca. I like alternative culture and music, and I have tattoos and piercings, and I was like, this is the city for me. Like,
and I like that I don't know if it's their official slogan or unofficial, but it's like keep Portland weird, which I love that.
Yeah. Like
that's also Louisville's slogan too. So.
Yeah.
Let's just borrow whatever you want.
Yeah, I was thinking like, Kentucky, like, it's so boring. And so I was really excited for Portland, and we were so underwhelmed. We were only there for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I really like to say that if we had more time, we might have found some really cool places.
I'm super into skateboarding once again. So there's this famous skate park there. It's called the Burnside Skate Park. Mm-hmm. And it's actually on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It's in all kinds of skate videos. It's world known. And it's very known for locals only. Like you're only allowed to skate there if you're from there. But we went really early in the day, and I was like, we'll get a little bit of skating.
Yeah.
It's all built by skaters too. It's 100% DIY. So these guys just started building this park underneath this bridge. And at first they got in trouble for it, but then they got it sanctioned by the city.
You've seen this skate. Anyone who's listening to this has seen this skate park in a movie. I mean, it's
in all
infamous.
kinds of TV shows.
If it's a show or movie that takes place in Portland, they're at least going to show like a span of it. It's in everything. It's really cool. It, like you said, it's made by locals, so it looks really
it's not
weird.
Really made that good though. It's kind of a crappy skate park,
but it looks cool.
It looks cool, but the aesthetics is all it has. Like it is not that good for skateboarding actually. So
of course, if you had gotten in trouble, you could be like, dude, I've been to the barracks, so I think I'm qualified to skate.
So these guys were like really big jerks to us. Like instantly, they like were just like talking trash. Like Alyssa took a picture of the like park and like they're like literally she was taking like a span video of it, and you can hear them in the background. They're like, "You've got your picture, now go home." Like.
No, they were asking me to pay them for taking the picture.
Oh, was
and
it?
They were just like up on the ramp like drinking beer. It was just like a couple of older dudes, but they were like pretty rude.
They're being loud, belligerent and stuff, and so I was like, hey, you should come sit over here. And Alyssa was like, I can't make it up that ramp. And I was like, I'll help you up the ramp. And she's like, no, I'll just stay over here. And I was like, no, don't stay over here by these weirdos. Like, she's like, no, I'm fine. I was like, well, then let's just leave. And she's like, no. I was like, no, it's cool. Like, I like jumped out, like, because the skate park, you literally have to climb.
There weren't even stairs to get onto the skate park.
Oh, wow.
It was like
a wall you have to jump.
It was like probably as tall as you were, and like someone had set like a bucket or something, and you could like pull your. I mean, it was very like.
So I like jumped out of the skate park. I was like, let's just go, and she's like. She thought that I was just like mad that she wasn't like feeling it, so she's like, no, let's stay. Well, as soon as like there was like that going on between us, these guys were like, trouble in paradise, like just talking more.
It was so awkward.
And I was like, fine, like just come sit over here. And so like she finally went over there. I helped her up the ramp and stuff. And I was trying to skate, and like I said, the park is just terrible. It's not very good. It's not built very good, and everything's just super steep and just kind of like chunked up. Like the concrete is not like it's just kind of like quickcrete, so it's all like broken up and stuff. And so I don't know. It wasn't really like that good of a park. And I was finally just like, hey, let's just go. Like I'm not really feeling it. Like maybe if like everything works out later, like we'll come back or something. But yeah, it was not. But that was like our first intro. That's the first thing we did as soon as we got to Portland. And so it was like
not the best introductory to.
Yeah, so already we were like, oh, this is weird. So then like someone had told us to go check out Manhattan Street and Albina.
I can't remember.
I think it was Albina Street.
It was like a strip, kind of like Bardstown Road in Louisville. Like it was like a lot of small businesses,
shops and stuff,
quirky,
restaurants.
kind of what we would expect from Portland. And that was pretty cool.
Alberta. Alberta Street. So it was pretty cool, but it wasn't any different than Louisville or Lexington or
any other kind
of like you were saying a little while ago. Like those big cities kind of start to feel all the same after a while.
The internet has made everything the same.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you go to a big city, they have all the same kinds of restaurants, all the same kinds of shops. Like it just felt like the places we've already been.
It's like once you've like a place like London, once you've seen like, you know, Big Ben and Parliament and stuff like that, which honestly, like you could, like it's not something like if someone was like, hey, I'm going to London, what should I see? Should I see Parliament? I'd be like, you could probably skip that. Because really, when you've seen it in a picture or a movie, which everyone has seen, it's kind of like that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Like you can take tours of it, which, you know, might be cooler, but if you're just wanting to take a picture just to be like, I've seen Big Ben, whatever, who cares? You can Photoshop yourself and it's just as fine. So like when cities, like, there are things like that, or like the Eiffel Tower, it's kind of like, they're kind of cool, but most of those things are just there so that you can take a picture of and show to your friends and be like, I've been to this, I've been to that, and it's kind of like, but it's not really, I don't know, I feel like they're again, those are the things that you do to show other people your experience.
Right.
But it's not really something that, like, I do because I'm like, oh, I gotta go see, like, the Eiffel Tower or I'm in Paris. Let's just, like, I like to just kind of go off the beaten path and go, like, get in some hole-in-the-wall restaurant.
For sure. We were just talking about Paris the other day, and I was like, honestly, I've never had any desire to see, like, the Eiffel Tower or anything. Like,
but
you see it so much, it's so blown up and, like...
It's overrated.
Modern culture.
Yeah, like... museums and the culture there, though.
Sure, I'm not saying there isn't stuff worth seeing in Paris, but stuff like that, like you said, it's been in my life, like, in movies and pictures and stuff forever, so it's like... I already feel like I've been there. It's
also a very dirty city, and the people are very rude.
I've also heard that.
So,
I heard the food's good, though.
The food is fine. That's one of the only things I can really, like, I distinctly remember. I was like, I like this about Paris. Everything else I was like, Everyone, like, the best cases, like, the people I experienced were just indifferent. Mm-hmm. Like, no one was kind of like, oh, hey, where are you from? Like, super friendly. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of like either wanted nothing to do with you or they were indifferent. It's like, I'll give you your food, but that's because I have to serve you food. It's not because I want to. I'm going to punch you in the face. So it's not the best experience, again, when you're going out of your way to travel to this country or city to kind of be like, oh, what's this place have to offer? And everyone's a douchebag. You're kind of like, whoa, wow. I hate this place.
The city of love.
No. More like the city of underwhelming and just absolute, you're kind of like, wow, this city sucks.
That was Portland, too, yes.
Yeah, that's disappointing, because I wanted to go to Portland for a while, and that in Seattle.
Okay. Well, Seattle's our next stop, so.
I love Seattle.
Yeah, so Portland, we got some ice cream.
We got food.
Yeah, it was alright. Like,
it was fine.
Yeah, like I said, same as everywhere else in the world, nothing to brag about. It makes sense why Portlandia, the show, makes fun of it so much.
Yeah, I love Portlandia.
That it really is how people are there. Mm-hmm. I used to think that it was like kind of like Portlandia. It was like, oh yeah, let's like laugh at ourselves.
Yeah,
like, we're like this too. No, they're just making fun of Seattle, Portland, because that's how it is. Like, so.
I really wouldn't mind to go back and visit, just because we were there for a couple hours. Yeah. It's hard to judge. Yeah, and we didn't have friends there that were like, oh, you should check out this brewery or you should check out this restaurant. We just kind of went in and were like Googling like I've heard they have beautiful Japanese gardens there. Mm-hmm. It's like they have a place that it has like a traditional tea house there. Mm-hmm. Like it's supposed to be awesome. So there's definitely reasons to go back. Yeah. And I would love to give it another chance.
Skate Burnside and not get made fun of. So that would be cool too.
Apparently, if you bring beer and give it to the locals.
Beer and weed. You guys have beer or weed with you and give it to them, and then they'll let you skate and not give you a hard time.
Yeah, apparently that's the way to do it.
So that's what we're doing next time is take beer and weed with me.
Well, if I were to do that, I'd give them like low class beer because
no, you don't give them good beer.
Yeah, you just want a 12-pack of PBR and you can skate for good.
Yeah. Like, and then we paid the toll to the bridge trolls.
Trolls.
Yeah, and then they'll let you skate.
Because it's under a bridge. Yeah,
there you go.
Burnside Bridge. So.
Yeah.
You gotta pay your toll to the bridge trolls.
But then we went to Seattle. We actually spent a couple of days in Seattle because I have family out there. So
we've been to Seattle several times before too. So or a couple times before. So it's like one of our favorite cities just because there's like family there and stuff, and it's a really cool city.
It's an interesting mix of super expensive, overpriced stuff and fun, unique, quirky stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is an expensive
it's
city.
It's the most expensive city I've ever been to.
Really?
Oh my god. Like, we wanted to go to this museum, the
Mopop.
Something, Museum of Pop Culture. And I swear to you, the tickets were like full price, like $50 a person.
That's a little much.
Yeah, it might even be more.
It was insane for like
$80
museum tickets.
Yeah.
But the first time we went, they had a fantasy exhibit and they had actual costumes from Game of Thrones, and I was like, we have to go.
Yeah, I'd probably be the one that's kind of like, well, they got Game of Thrones stuff for Lord of the Rings.
They had a music section too that was based around Foo Fighters and Nirvana.
See, that's one of the main reasons I'd love to visit
Jimi
Seattle.
Hendrix.
Yeah, because Jimi Hendrix was born there. I'm a big grunge fan. Like Nirvana, that was my first love musically.
They had a
Alice
whole
in Chains.
section. Yeah.
Macklemore is from Seattle, obviously, so they had a big exhibit for him too. So
they also, during that time, because the exhibits change in that museum, they had an indie game section where literally you went in. It was really cool, and you could just sit down and play these games that either were about to come into the market or had just recently been released, and they were all these little independent. It was very cool. It was definitely a great museum. We lied and said we were college students to get our.
We didn't lie. They asked us if we were students, and I said,
they told us the price. It was gonna be like, I'm telling you, like $50 a person, and then the guy's like ringing up the tickets, and he was like, "Oh wait, are you all students?" And we both just stood there and slowly began nodding our heads.
I was like, well, we've actually enrolled in school, but we haven't like started yet, so we don't have our IDs or anything. And he looked at me and he was like, what are you going to school for? And I was like, I'm going to school for accounting administration. And he looked over at Alyssa and she was like, I'm going to school for graphic design. And he was like, okay. And so it was like $15 to go to the museum.
Which also, that's kind of a very ambiguous term. It's like, are you a student? It's like, well, am I a student in school? Am I a student in terms of like, I just like to study things in my free time? Am I a student of life? Yes.
There you go.
Yes, I am.
So if you go, just lie.
Or make a fake ID, student ID.
John really wants to make fake student IDs to get like discounted movie tickets and.
It's the best.
It's not a bad idea.
I know, I'm gonna do it. I'll make you one too.
Yes.
Oh my God.
A fake student.
But there's a lot of stuff to do there that, like, this Space Needle's a really big, iconic kind of image of Seattle.
The glass blowing museum. That's
well,
really
the
cool.
Space Needle to go into that was like $30 a person.
No, it was also like $50 or like $80.
We skipped that shit.
Yeah.
The museum,
The glass blowing
I
museum
can't
was
think of the
also, like,
artist.
50 or 80.
Yeah, there's an artist that's like known for doing. I still want to go to that.
Everything was $50 to $80.
That's way too much.
The big stuff. Now look at. We went to Pike's Place Market. Are you familiar? That's the market where they like throw the fish and they catch them. That's been in a lot of stuff too. It's dirty, it's unique, and it's amazing.
It's where the first Starbucks is as well.
Yeah, it's like a big street market, but it's like layers. Like you get there and there's like the main level where there's like flower vendors everywhere. They sell these like giant bouquets for like $5.
Yeah, you can get the nicest flowers ever. Nicest flower arrangements for so cheap.
They're dirt
it's
cheap
insane.
there. There's like
You get the big giant, like the big flower arrangements. They'd be like $50 here or only $10 there.
You have like the seafood vendors. They have those like giant, fish sitting out on ice, and they're yelling and throwing stuff. And it's, each little restaurant is its own unique thing. It looks like it's been there for 40 years, and like Grandpa Sal owns it. And
there's a little Teen Crumpets place.
there was a shop that sold like gems and stones and alternative healing. On one of the basement levels, there was a comic book store that was like packed full of stuff.
Magic shop. It was like had like all kinds of like old like magic like you could buy like different like magic things.
Yeah, there's like posters on the wall that were like super
posters,
old.
yeah.
We'll definitely hit up a music shop, comics, and then maybe just walk around and be like, yeah, where can I find weapons? I'm about to go on a quest to slay a dragon. Is there a stall for this?
There probably
there was. A nice stall,
Yeah.
Like swords
Or like some shady guy comes out from the corner and is kind of like, yes, I have what you seek.
He has a cloak on.
I have wands and gems. But the finest dwarf in the craftsmanship is like, yes, take me.
Yeah, it was. That guy was there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we really like Pike's Place Market. It's super cool. Like, that is probably my favorite part of Seattle. Like, Pike's Place Market, 100%. I could spend a week just there.
The gum wall is there.
Yeah.
There's like an alley where everyone puts their... It's disgusting, but I love it.
On the wall.
They're chewing gum on the wall. But it like has covered this whole alleyway now. And as soon as you turn the corner and get close to it, because there's like signs for it now, you smell the like spearmint sweet smell of thousands and thousands of pieces of gum. And like people take I have pictures in front of it. People like bring gum just so they can like put it on the wall.
I'd be a little worried that like a piece would fall off and like...
I'm sure it happened.
Because that would be awful to be like taking a picture and then like a piece of gum falls in your hair and you're like, no!
See, like,
they
I
said
love
that
it.
it got too, like the wall got too dense and started smelling too bad. So they scraped all of it off. And everyone was so irate about it that it was like filled within like another like it was like a month or two. It was like
that's places I love though. Like I love going to the gum wall, and I've told people about it since I've gotten home, and they're like, "That's disgusting. Why would you?
Cool,
why would you go there?" And I'm like, "But it's weird and it's unique."
It's like, do we have a gum wall here in town? No.
Exactly. Like it's just something to do. Like it was really fun.
It's pretty cool.
The first time we went to Pike's Place, we did go to the first Starbucks, but it is the exact same as any other Starbucks, but you have to wait for like
they have a little
45
thing. It's like
minutes.
a little plaque that you can get your picture taken by.
That's like the first Starbucks.
Yeah.
I'm not a coffee drinker, so that'd be a pass for me. I'd just be like, no.
We drank so much good coffee in Seattle. We drank some really good beer in Seattle too.
Yeah.
That's more my thing.
Fremont Brewery. Yeah. Plus, weed is legal in Seattle, so that's cool. Yeah. Seattle's awesome. I like Seattle. I like Seattle more every time we go. Like, I feel like every time we go, it's like...
How many times have you all been in Seattle?
I thought we've been 3, but I guess we've only been twice.
Yeah, we've only been twice.
But it's super cool. We plan on going again this next year because Alyssa's grandmother lives there now, and so we're gonna go there every year.
It's a super cool city, and we have family there.
And the gum wall.
And the gum wall is there.
So it was super cool. So we spent actually 4 days in Seattle, and we ate at a bunch of cool restaurants. We saw a bunch of cool stuff. It was a really awesome place. Like, I like Seattle. It's so expensive. If we didn't have family there, I don't know how much I would go. Like, it would probably be like, been there once, done that, like, don't go back.
I would definitely recommend it though. But I think just like expecting it to be kind of expensive is needed.
Yeah.
Because especially if you do the big touristy
Well, if
stuff.
you go to the Seattle Center, which is where the Space Needle's at, you can get a package where you can pick like 4 different
big things like the Space Needle, the Pop Culture Museum, the Fancy Glass Museum, and all of those you can do it for like a set price, and it's way cheaper that way.
It's like $100 to do like you pick like 4 or something.
Okay,
so if you go do that, the last time we went, we didn't find that till like the last day, and we were like, oh, next time.
And then this last time we went, we didn't really have a whole lot of time because we were spending a lot of time with Alyssa's grandmother.
Yeah.
And we were spending a lot of time with family. Her uncle just had a little baby, so we were spending a lot of time with like her cousin and stuff, and it was super cool. And then so we were there for about 4 days, and then we drove to Yellowstone.
That was my highlight of the trip.
Been a place I've been wanting to go for a while.
I cannot recommend it enough.
Okay, we just knew that we had to get from Seattle back to Kentucky, and we were like, well, I guess we'll see, kind of the northern states.
Well, we were like, this is a road trip.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be like a road trip, like the old 50s, like hop in the station wagon and let's see the country. And so we're like, let's see Old Faithful, let's see Mount Rushmore, let's see the
Redwoods,
let's
so
see the very touristy stuff.
I went into it thinking like, oh, it's probably going to be pretty cool. It was, so one place we stopped before we got to Yellowstone, and you may not have thought this was this cool. We went to, I think it was in Montana. It was like the 50,000 silver
coin
casino or something. We had to pee. That was the only reason we stopped here. But it kind of like advertised that it was like a souvenir shop. For one, there's also
world-known largest gift shop in the Midwest or something.
Also, there's casinos everywhere out there, like everywhere. So we stopped.
Every gas station has a casino. Like it's like a little gas station, tiny old casino on the side of it. Like,
That's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, it was interesting.
They're everywhere.
So we stopped to pee, but also it was a giant souvenir store. So like we went in and we actually
we also need gas too.
Yeah, we were looking
the
at
gas station had a casino, and the casino was right beside it too. Like, it was so fun.
It was interesting.
The children's playgrounds have casinos where they play with like
No,
little...
I literally saw kids with backpacks like going into the casino. I don't know if like their mom worked there or something. I don't know. But
gotta start them off at some age.
So we went in, we were looking at all the souvenir stuff, like it was just like really typical cliche stuff, t-shirts, and they had like pocket knives and, you know, unique like turquoise jewelry and stuff like that.
We stopped at a lot of gift shops in...
I know, we skipped over that because we were kind of on that iconic Route 66 for a little while when we were down in New Mexico and Arizona. And every time there would be like 50 signs for like,
we would
stop here, ice cream, souvenirs,
we started feeling like
rattlesnakes.
if it has more than 25 advertisements before we get to it, we're gonna stop at it. And then
We stopped at a lot of
it'd be like,
souvenirs.
if it gets more than 30, we're gonna stop at it. So it was like insane. Like, it was crazy.
Those were fun. But the one up in Montana, we were walking through, John found
a coonskin hat.
You had to get it.
I like,
or at least wear it.
And obviously Alyssa's vegan, so she's like, is that real? If that's real, you can't get it. And I looked at it and it wasn't real. It was faux fur, and I was like, no, it's fake. And she's like, it looks really real, and I was like, it's fake. Like,
should have worn it for the podcast.
I know. Well, but
Trust me, he's wearing the coonskin.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's pictures. You can put them on there.
Like at first, I thought you were Davy Crockett when you walked in my house. I'm like, what? Is this thing a Crockett?
So, but yeah, so she was like, the only way I'll let you get that hat is if you wear it the rest of the trip.
To which John eagerly said, deal.
So
as a smart man would do.
Every picture for the rest of our trip, I'm wearing a coonskin hat.
You know, I didn't think that part through. But, okay, so there's the souvenir shop. And then, like, kind of attached to the back of it, there were doorways into, like, I could see, like, a bar and stuff. And it was, like, middle of the day. We weren't gambling. We hadn't planned on drinking. But I kind of looked in there, and all of the walls were covered in, like, silver coins. Literally, there were 50,000 silver coins covering all the
wow.
And it looked really cool. Like, it was a really cool bar.
They're, like,
and
hanging from the ceilings in, like, display cases. Like,
yeah, like frames, and there was just like frame. It was insane.
It was
and like
so cool.
outside of this casino, gas station, souvenir shop thing, there was like nothing. It was like mountains, road, and that was it. This was literally in the middle of nowhere. It was really cool though.
It was super cool.
And
Maybe
then,
that's why the kids went there. That's where the school is too.
yeah, that was like it. That was the town.
Like their math is like gambling. It's like, how much money did you lose on this hand?
Here you go, Jimmy. Stop me when you get 22.
Yeah, so that was just kind of a quick pee stop, but it was a really cool place.
It was really cool. That was a really cool.
I wanted to write that into
shot.
one of my like books because it was such a like neat like
Yeah,
just random place. But anyway, so we were just driving through there and we made our way down to Yellowstone because we were going to see Old Faithful.
And that's all we knew about Yellowstone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a geyser there. Let's go check it out. There's hot springs and stuff. We did not know how incredibly cool that whole entire park is.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of expensive to drive through. I think it was like $30, but you get a 4-day pass.
Oh, wow.
So for $30, you can camp, you can do whatever for 4 days in the park. And
it was 1,000% worth it
it was
too.
so worth
like,
it.
like at first we pulled up and we were like $30 to get into a park. Like that seems a little.
Did you see like any of the cool animals? Because I know like Yellowstone has like bear, wolves.
We're
bison.
getting there.
Okay. Because I feel like if I saw a bear, my first instinct is like, I'm gonna give it a bear hug. Like it might maul my face off.
Okay,
But
we didn't see a bear. I will say that, but I really wanted to. I was looking because like in the brochure and the map they gave us, they talked so much about like what to do if you encounter a bear, like what not to do. Like
we had also
definitely don't give it a bear hug.
Yeah.
Yes, that was probably on the list.
The Redwoods was very much like that too. They were like, leave your cooler in your car or in the beer cabinet or the bear cabinet. Like that's all you. And I was like, well, there's no food. And they're like, do not leave. They're like, a bear will come into your camp and it will go through your cooler if you leave it out. Do not either. It should be in the beer cabinet or bear cabinet, or it should be in your car. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't even get food out of our car when we were there. I was too scared.
They were really strict about it, so I ate cupcakes the next day.
Could you leave beer for the bear, though?
Beer cabinet, I don't know. So.
Like, hey, Smokey, drink up.
So yeah, we got into Yellowstone. We knew we were going to Old Faithful, which they had like a map, and we saw like some signs for certain geysers and stuff like that.
Other geysers, and then what's the
hot springs?
What's the like the mud bubbling mud or whatever? It's called something.
I can't remember. So we stopped at like the first one we saw because there was a ton of people pulled over. It ended up being like so cool. It looked like alien. I mean, you get out and there's these walkways that kind of like wind through these like hot springs and like he said, these like pools of just like forever bubbling, just like
boiling
mud. And they had to make these pathways because the ground would get so hot because they're hot. You're walking over hot springs.
Like literally, it was saying like, do not step off the pathway because people die from that.
Oh wow!
Like you can get boiled alive.
It showed like little boys like falling and like
bubbling, boiling alive.
So we stopped there. It's hard to put stuff like that into words, but it was really cool.
I think that's another thing that I find so fascinating about the U.S. is just the wide, like again, Yellowstone, like geysers, then like New Mexico desert, and you've got like
the redwoods. I mean, we saw all to think that we saw all these different things within like a span of 2 weeks.
17 days
is insane. Like we were in the desert, and then we were in the thick of like the redwood forest, and now we're looking at like hot springs on this like it almost looked like a desert. Alien land,
like some kind of primordial, like
yes,
this is where life begins. It's some kind of weird. We crawl out of ooze or something.
It was so weird.
Another crazy thing too, I forgot, is there was a lot of forest fires going on all throughout Northern California and Portland and Washington.
They were really bad in Oregon when we were driving through. It was all over the news and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that on the news.
That was when we were driving through there.
So bad that like gas stations had like masks to wear because that some
the smoke was so bad.
Required that you wear that even like in your car, like you had to have a mask on, So luckily we weren't in any of those places.
We actually never saw. We saw some of the aftermath, especially in Yellowstone. We did see some smoke, but we never.
Yellowstone was really bad.
Oh my! I mean, like driving through some of the hills, it would just be like these tree skeletons of just like it just charred. For miles. A forest or a fire just gone through and just like devastated it. It was kind of beautiful in like a really sad way. Like it was just so striking. Like
the most beautiful thing about it too is there was already like smaller trees starting to grow up at the bottom.
Wow.
It was like it was almost like reassuring that like it will come back. It was like all these are barren and stuff, but like there's already like little trees sprouting up at the bottom. It's like it's just like will replenish itself. I mean, it's crazy.
It will, and I mean, fires, natural fires, they've always happened, and they kind of refertilize. I mean, it's circle of life, but it was weird seeing that for just like on such a big scale. But Old Faithful was actually kind of a letdown to me. Like, I thought it was cool.
I liked all the, like, stuff around Old Faithful. So, like, the gift shops around it and, like, the stores and stuff. There's, like, a really cool, like, grocery store. There's Huckleberry everything.
Like, out there. That's, like, a huge
Huckleberry
flavor.
Wine and Huckleberry chocolate bars.
Is it really good?
I got a Huckleberry chocolate bar, and it was amazing.
I got a sucker. It tasted kind of like blueberry.
No, it was more like if you took a blueberry and a blackberry and you smashed them together, that's a huckleberry.
Huckleberry.
That sounds delicious.
It's really
good. I've
never
had
huckleberry
good before.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I bet the wine would have been good.
Yeah.
We didn't get it.
We should have gotten some of the wine. Next time.
But, so the geyser goes off approximately every 2 hours?
Hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, so it's been going on almost on schedule for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So they kind of have like a countdown to when it's going to happen. And so we kind of like walked around. It was weird kind of walking around all the gift shops and stuff. And there's this giant circle pathway that goes around it. And it kind of fills up towards the last 15 minutes. And people just kind of stand there and wait for the like geyser to go off.
I think we should have been closer because like we were kind of far away from it. I think that's why it wasn't as impressive. But
I know. We had just seen the Redwoods too, which were like giant.
It was still cool. Like,
it was super cool.
But there was like I felt like the bubbling mud to me was cooler. I mean, like I thought that was more.
That was just like really pretty, the hot springs and stuff. The geyser was cool, and it was big. Like it was a big geyser.
And what if a dinosaur had flown out of that geyser? Like it erupts and like a pterodactyl flies up.
Next level. I would have been totally for it then. So we did that, and honestly, after that went off, we stopped at a gift shop. We got some Huckleberry stuff, and then we rolled out. We knew we had quite a trek to our next campsite after that. So we hadn't really planned on doing a lot more sightseeing after that. But driving through Yellowstone was so beautiful.
So there's like this span. It's where Yellowstone Park meets, like I think it's Bighorn Park in Wyoming, and then it goes into the Black Hills Forest.
Yeah.
And that whole like span of forest right there is the most beautiful place I've ever been in my entire life. Like it is insane. It is so amazingly beautiful that we could not help ourselves but to just like stop the car and like get out on a cliffside and just like take it all in.
Was it one of those places where you're like, let's just like chop down a couple of these trees and build a house?
Yes.
I could have. I'm not a super emotional person, but I genuinely like teared up at a couple spots just because it was the most beautiful place I'd ever been. And I was seeing it, and it was almost like it was like too much for me to take in just how big, just how magnificent it all was. We pulled over at one point, and we were up on like a cliffside kind of. There was a river down below us. We actually climbed down to the river, and like we were in this valley, and there was just mountains and trees, and it was breathtaking in like the truest sense of the word. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, it was so cool.
The worst part about those sites is because again, like you can tell, like, describe it all you want, even take pictures, but it's still kind of like
exactly.
You can't,
exactly.
It definitely doesn't.
Because there've been so many places where like I'll even take videos like on top of a mountain or something like that and like post it on like social media and be like, look, here's me on top of a mountain. People are like, oh, that's so cool, and I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah,
like it's mind-bogglingly like beautiful and just.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of my favorite things about traveling is just you find those sites and you're just, I don't know, like you kind of just want to absorb everything. Just like sit right down and just photosynthesis or whatever. You're just kind of like, yes.
We had to do that so many. We were behind schedule, and we were like, we have to stop.
Yeah.
And there were several times we would pull over and we would just get out and we would take pictures, but we would just kind of stand there and just look around and try to like appreciate as much of it as we could because it was so beautiful.
It was amazing.
And then the best part of the whole entire trip happened as we were leaving Yellowstone Park. This is like driving through the tree for John, but for me, there was this giant tour bus in front of us, and we knew we were about to leave the park, and it like slammed on its brakes all of a sudden, and so we slammed on our brakes, and you know it was like mountains and curvy and stuff, so we were like, okay, whatever. They like I think got over in a different lane or something, drove forward. And then I looked and realized that there was a full-grown buffalo just meandering down the road, and I was so excited.
I have a video on my phone of me like being like, oh, so I guess we're in Yellowstone. Oh, look, a bison, and it's just like right.
We drove past it, and he's just like walking, and he kind of like looks over at us, and I was like he was just chilling.
I could have rolled my window down and pet this guy. Like,
oh my god,
I would have been too tempted to. It's kind of like this is gonna be the dumbest thing I ever do, and it's gonna attack me, but I gotta pet it.
If I didn't have a rental car, I might have been more like. But I was just thinking, like, if he rears over and hits the car, it's done.
He was.
But it's like that off chance of like, what if we have a connection? Like, I reach out and pet it, and, just kind of like, and he's just like, we get it. Like, we're just kind of like, yes.
You found your familiar. This is your like animal companion.
And like
now.
he follows you all the way home. And you're just
yes. Oh, I love
have
it.
bison burgers.
No.
Oh.
Speaking of, Yellowstone National Park was not very vegan friendly. I think I ate some hummus.
Yeah, so once we left Seattle, there wasn't a lot of vegan options.
I knew like West Coast, I was going to be set. Like there were so many vegan restaurants out there. Like that was a lifestyle that is very adapted there.
Yeah.
So I like
Midwest,
ate queen out there. Yeah. We get to Yellowstone and there was like a $10 like veggie sandwich that they had but it was a national park, so like the food was overpriced anyway. But we saw the bison on our way out of the park, which was just it was like the perfect little like cap to that. And then we had a very long drive to our next campsite. Where was that?
It was in Wyoming.
Was it in Wyoming?
Yeah, it was in eastern Wyoming. Because we were making it, so we were on our way to Mount Rushmore. So we camped in, I think it was called like Bighorn Sequoia or something in Wyoming, or Sedan or something, Bighorn Sedan. And so we camped in Bighorn, and then we drove to Black Hills Forest, which is where Mount Rushmore is. And on our way through Mount Rushmore, the Russian couple had told us that we should check out Crazy Horse. It's actually this giant monument. It's like twice the size or 3 times the size of Mount Rushmore, and it's so expensive to go to that one. It's like $20.
But the reason it's expensive is it's
like $40 for both of us to go.
This is a completely privately owned thing. Like they're making this monument on donations, and it's to honor and kind of show tribute.
It's not donations when you're charging people $40 to go.
But it's trying to educate people and also to honor like the Native Americans who lived out there.
We did kind of give them the land for Mount Rushmore. It's like, hey guys, you know how we gave you this land? We're gonna carve 4 pasty pale white dudes in that mountain.
Yeah,
cool?
yeah. So I get why this is important.
Pasty Pale Productions.
Oh no! Don't turn it around.
Like the 4 of you all pasty pale as Mount Rushmore.
That would be perfect. If anyone like knows how to design that,
John can do it. He does graphics.
Yes. Give me the 4 photos of you all.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, pasty pale.
But I get why Crazy Horse is important, and I get why it's important to honor, and it's cool that they're doing it themselves. They're funding themselves.
I get it. Yeah.
It just was
a
lot of money.
$20 a person to go see.
And we were like, we're just.
Plus, we're near the end of our trip. We already spent so much money.
Yeah.
I was just like,
right. Yeah, we haven't even talked about the cost of everything. Now, camping did help a lot. And also, we packed food in our car all the time, so we lived off like hummus and peanut butter.
Our trip really wasn't that expensive either, though. I mean, like, with us camping a lot and us renting a car, like, our rental car was like, I think like $350 for the 2 weeks.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it wasn't bad because it was an off season and we had unlimited miles, so we didn't have to pay any extra for the miles. Plus camping, I think we ended up paying like $25 a night on average.
Wow.
So I mean, you think that's like hardly anything compared to like hotels and stuff. And I mean, like most, except for, you know, when we were in Bakersfield, all of our campsites had really nice facilities, like bathrooms and stuff. Like, I mean, we had amazing facilities the entire time. I didn't feel like we missed out at all by camping.
I think that's why, like, or one of the reasons why, like, I try to always tell people about, like, traveling and encourage it. Because, like, if you know how to do it, it's actually not nearly as expensive as you think. Even taking a road trip across, like, the U.S.
Yeah.
Or even, like, you know, like flying like overseas, like I've bought plane tickets that are like under at that, or right at around 1,000 round trip, which is really good.
Yeah.
It cost us $800 to fly to Seattle.
Yeah.
That's something we did.
And that's the most expensive part. A lot of times when you're traveling anywhere is the flight.
Right.
And most of the time when we travel like overseas, we stay in like hostels, B&Bs, where it's significantly cheaper than hotels. And of course, you know, if you had like no friends and stuff like that, then that's even better because it's kind of like, hey, I'm in town. Can I crash on your couch?
Yeah.
So it's actually not nearly as bad. And again, there's just so much the world has to offer. Not just again here in the U.S., but like
everywhere.
It's such a massive planet.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It kind of, and, you know, I know like everyone has their own preferences, but like it irks me a little bit when people are like, no, I'm content with just staying in my little area like my whole life. It's like, no, like get out and see something.
So
I don't know.
I don't care where you go, just go see something.
I think some of it might be fear-based too, though, because I know going to LA, I was a little nervous because I was like, I don't know, and like
because we had to drop through Compton to get there.
Okay.
and like bucket list, our next big trip, like big trip, is probably going to be Tokyo. I've always wanted to go to Japan.
So many times and we've not
It's fallen through a couple times. But that is a little nerve-wracking going to a country where you don't speak the language and like, so I could definitely see, but like it's worth it. Like it's worth it to get out of that comfort zone and just like like expect things to go wrong, expect to get lost, and just like embrace it.
Like when we went to Ireland, had some of the worst things possible could happened, but oddly enough that kind of made the experience and made it that much more enjoyable. Which that's probably another episode that I'll do at some point. Is like, because again, there's so much that happened in that trip to where it's my all-time favorite. Again, even though some of the worst things that could have happened, but just the weird. It was one of those trips where like everything just happened to like work out perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like that you run that risk anywhere you go. You run that risk like just going out of town.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the risk is bigger, but at the same time the reward is so much more worth it.
For sure.
Because the first time that I went out of the country, I was 15. Never I've hardly been out of the States, or like been to different states. So I was kind of like, I am terrified, and I've got anxiety. So I was just kind of like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'm an anxious person.
But after, like, when I came back home, though, I was just kind of like, that is the greatest experience I have ever had. I want to do that more. And, thankfully, now that I'm an adult and I have money, that's one of my goals. Is I'm like, I want to travel, like, at least every other year somewhere.
Right.
Just to see
something
and kind of just, and especially, like, countries or something like that, like, I've never been. Like, I would love to just go to some random country where I know nothing about, just that way I can go to a local and be like, teach me, like, what is this? What is there to offer in this country or this city or this town?
Every place has like something cool, like we were saying at the very beginning, like Mountain View, Arkansas, like did not expect that to be as cool as it was. Like, everything does something.
And like you said, with things going wrong, I mean, memories are made out of that unexpected, element sometimes. So I think it's important just to kind of have fun with that. And even if it's stressful at the time, like there were times where, and people used to ask us all the time, if we stressed each other out or if we got sick of each other being in a car.
I never thought about that one time until I was at work telling everybody about our trip, and they were like, so it was just you and your wife for 2 weeks in a car? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, didn't you get on each other's nerves? And I was like, whoa, I never even thought about that. Like that wasn't even like a fathom of a thought in my mind. Like, I just love Alyssa more than anything, and I was just like, we're going on a trip together. It's gonna be amazing, and it was. Like, and we never fought really or anything. Like,
no, we definitely faced some stressful stuff, but I think we just went into it just we're here to have fun and we're here to experience this, and so. Like even me, who is just an anxious person most of the time, like I feel like we just kind of just let it happen and just took it as it came, and that's
kind of really all you can do, especially when you're in like a completely different location. It's like this is pretty shitty, but what can I do about it?
Yeah, either
might as well just embrace it.
Exactly, like I can let this ruin my day or ruin this moment or ruin this city, or like what can we do from here? Like let's go get Korean barbecue and get a new phone, like whatever, you know.
Or call up Doug and be like, Doug, we're lost! Search party now!
Doug, send your private jet! Yeah.
So we skipped Crazy Horse because it was too expensive. And then we went and saw Mount Rushmore, which we also didn't think that was going to be as cool as it was. But it was like a whole museum. Like walking up to it, they have like all the flags of all like 50 states and stuff. And then they had, it was just like really cool, like how everything was like built. Like, it was a really cool monument.
Yeah.
And then we like snuck off the like beaten path. Like there was like, it looked like people had climbed up on this like little mountain, and Alyssa was like, you can't walk up there. And I was like, it doesn't say like, it normally has posted like do not enter and stuff, like don't exit the path. So we climbed all the way up on top of this like other mountain right across from Mount Rushmore. It was in the same like area though. And like it was so amazing. It was like breathtakingly beautiful up there.
One of the things I like the most about Mount Rushmore, which sounds really stupid, but like the actual mountains themselves were filled with like quartz and like I don't even know, glittery rocks. Like
my parents, because my sister, like she now lives in New Mexico, and that's why I drove out there a few years ago. Now and then, because her husband's in the Air Force, so like they've been to like New Mexico, Rapid City,
Iowa.
No, not Iowa. South Dakota. Or I think that's it.
Yeah, there's a Rapid City.
Yeah. So like my parents went there to go visit him. They went to see Mount Rushmore. And like my mom, like she has like a garden all around the house. So like she got all these like glittery rocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We got some glittery rocks too. It was really cool.
But yeah, I don't know. Like that's just like some of my favorite things. like been traveling and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I have a ton of rocks from Mount Rushmore.
Everywhere.
I filled my pockets.
So I think you're not supposed to take them, but
I don't think you are either.
It didn't
like,
say that we couldn't. No, I mean, there's no signs. Normally they have signs. And
so.
stuff.
but also it's like, what are they like? Are they just gonna
They're
be like,
sitting on my bookshelf now. Also, you're about to tell them about my super.
but also it's
weird
like, how do they enforce like if you leave like the park, are they gonna like check your pockets? Like,
I
give you
know,
all the
like there are
rocks?
park rangers, and I was like, oh no, my pockets are literally like click clank, click clank, click clank, and I'm like, oh, just walk faster, John.
You're going to park ranger jail.
Well, Alyssa also thought it'd be cool to get dirt from every state we went to and then layer it, which is a really
Okay,
cool idea.
yes, it sounds okay. No,
a really cool
my
idea.
idea was I'm gonna have a jar, and there's gonna be a layer of dirt from every state that we went to, and it's gonna kind of show like how different everything looks.
Yeah.
Sounds super cool. Fast forward to me in a
Forgetting.
gas station parking lot with a spoon and a Ziploc bag in 19 different states.
But the
18
worst-
different states.
16 different states.
Okay, I forgot a few states.
That was the worst part. It was like she forgot a couple.
I missed
Oregon.
Oregon and Illinois, I think.
Yeah.
So I have
You just
like
improvise, take soil from other.
16 Ziploc bags of dirt that were in the back of our car. I still haven't put them. I bought the jar the other day, but anyway, that's beside the point. It was an interesting souvenir to have from each state.
Yeah. So it was funny.
But yeah, we went to see Mount Rushmore. I stole a bunch of rocks. I got some dirt as well, obviously.
And then we camped
As most people do.
You know.
We camped in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is not far from. It's like a couple of hours outside of Mount Rushmore. And then again, we woke up at 7 in the morning and took off, and we stopped at Rapid City, Iowa. And so there's this pro skateboarder. His name's Nate Sherwood, and he owns a skate shop called Edge-A-Skate, and it's just so cool that he still runs this shop, just him and his like wife, and he's a pro skater. He used to be on this TV show called American Misfits back in the day, and he had this segment called Notorious Nate, and like he's just super cool guy, and he was just there working at the shop because he just runs it. And me and him just like hit it off. Like he was so cool.
He was delightful. Like he was
the
hysterical.
nicest guy.
We told him just casually about what happened in Portland, and he was like, "I bet I know those guys. I'm from there." He was like, "Let me see." He was like pulling up pictures. He was like, "Was it these guys?" Because I will tell them like they
And I
need
was
to
like-
not act like that. Like
And I was
it was
like, yeah, I think
hilarious.
it was them. I was like, oh yeah, they were sitting exactly where. And he was like, whoa, dude. He was like, here's my personal cell phone number. He was like, next time you go to Portland, call me and I will have someone meet you and they will treat you to a way better experience.
And then he was so sweet because John bought some stuff at the skate shop, and he was like, "I'm gonna give you all some free stuff. Like I can't believe they treated you like that in Oregon."
Yeah. So he's
like
giving me all. He's like, I'm gonna give you a bunch of goodies, man. Like he just keeps
it
dropping
was
stuff in my bag.
adorable. We were asking about like local food because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You go to a city, you talk to the locals, and
He was like, dude, you need to go check out this place. They got the best vegan soup bowls, man. He was like, it's right around. He was like, actually, like, here, I'll just close the shop and I'll go with you.
What?
He's like, I'll take you over there. And I was like, oh, no, you don't have to do that.
it
man.
was
And he was
hilarious.
like, no, man, we get a couple skateboards. We'll just, here, you can borrow some of mine. Like, you just ride a couple of my skateboards. We'll just skate on over
Wow.
there. And I was like, nah, man, like, we know where it's at, dude. I'll just walk over there. And he's like, are you sure? Like, I can take you on. And I was like, no. He's like, my buddy Wes owns the place, man. Tell Wes I sent you. He'll hook you up, man. Like, he was so cool.
He was the nicest
And then he
human
was like,
being.
wait, you should go here. He starts making a list of everywhere we should go. And then we're like, well, we're heading to Chicago next. And he was like, oh,
He's
I
like,
love
what?
Chicago.
Pulls out a new piece of
Just
paper.
starts
He's like,
writing.
all right, you gotta go here.
He was so cool. And we were like, yeah, we're from Kentucky. And he was like, oh, I've always wanted to go to Kentucky, man. He's like, me and my wife, we're going to come to Kentucky in February. We're going to come see you guys, man. Like, so, I don't know.
So we might have a bourbon date with a professional
Yes.
skateboarder. We'll see.
It was super cool. That's one thing I was a little bummed about is I didn't get to skate with him. But we're probably going to go back to Rapid City.
Yeah, again.
And you've got his phone. You're pretty much best friends now.
No.
I
same.
literally could text him right now.
He took
text
a
back,
picture of
listen.
us on his phone, and then you took a picture
Of me,
with
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But then he was like, "Wait, I want to get a picture of you guys." Like he was so adorable.
Yeah, it was super cool.
But he also liked that we were like road tripping
Yeah.
together. He's like, "That's really cool. People don't do that anymore." And
Plus, he talks a million miles an hour. And, like, so his skate shop is called Edge-A-Skate, which is like educate. But
Yeah.
so anytime there's an 8 in a word, he replaces it with skate, and he does it so flawlessly. It's insane. Like I can't
remember what he did, but he did it like so much.
He did it so much, but
I wish I could think of examples.
Know, like,
he did it.
Like edge of skate is the only thing I can think of because but yeah, I mean like
the next episode we'll get him on on the phone and be like, teach us.
We'll call him. We'll call Doug.
Yeah.
It'll be like a whole thing, a follow-up episode.
I don't know.
Questions answered.
This is an intervention, Doug. We need to know what you do.
I don't know if Doug would answer, but I bet like Nate would answer right now. Like if I was to call him about that, he'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" Like he'd talk to me.
I'm in a podcast right now.
Yeah. Like,
he would be so excited. He'd be like, "Man, that was so nice of you guys to call me." Like,
he's so cool. Yeah, I love Nate Sherwood. He's the
but yeah, that was a really cool little city too. Again, we stopped there for him in that skate shop, and it ended up being a really fun stop.
And we went to a bunch of like little stores. Like there's a bunch of like cool areas and stuff down there, little cool spots. And any spot where like, yeah, Nate told us, they were like, oh, we love Nate.
Everyone.
He's like the mayor there.
The lady who made the vegan like rice bowls told us, we told her we went to the Redwoods, and she said she went there and the tree spoke to her, and we were like, oh. And then she was like, I was completely sober. And we were like,
oh. Interesting.
It's weird you would mention that, but okay. It was
Acids,
fun.
one hell of a
We had beer there too. I wish I could remember like the companies and the types.
It was some market. I can't remember what the market was.
It was
called.
fun though. Yeah, it was like a big like open market,
and
there was different stalls and stuff. But
yeah.
That
just go to Edge of Skate and ask Nate. He'll tell you about it.
He will make you a list. He'll probably take you there himself. Honestly,
yeah, he probably would. Tell him that John sent you. And, like,
we had
Kentucky John.
The ice thing.
Oh, water ice.
Water ice. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's like have you ever had an Italian ice?
I don't think so.
It's kind of like ice cream, icy, weird thing.
So almost like a snow cone, but like creamier. It's like a creamy snow cone.
Weird truck pulled up in front of Edge of Skate after we had left. We saw Nate out there, and he was like, "Have you guys ever had water ice?" He like calls us back over after we had already left. And like there's just this guy, and he's also selling like hot dogs and like
just random stuff.
It was like a convenience store in a truck, and he just pulled up, and there was a big sign for water ice, and it was
like Philadelphia's water ice.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, but it was like kind of like an Italian ice, icy.
But the guy was super cool, and the water ice was like delicious. It's amazing. It's
yeah,
kind
it was
of
just
like an ice cream type
light
thing.
and refreshing
and stuff. It was
yeah,
really good.
but it didn't have cream in it because we asked them.
Yeah,
like,
but
cream.
Nate was like, "Hey, these are my friends from Kentucky."
I like that fast. He's like, they're my best friends.
Instantly.
Like, he was like, "These are my friends from Kentucky," and the guy running the water ice, he's like, "You're from Kentucky?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Have you been to the Ark?" And we were like, "What?" And then we were like, "Oh yeah,
Noah's Ark, yeah."
We were like, "No, we haven't." And he was like, "I want to go so bad. Like I've been trying to plan a trip there." And we were just
actually laughed because there's a lot of things Kentucky's known for.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was one of them now. And so I was
most
like,
people were like bourbon, KFC, Kentucky Derby.
And then he was like, "Yeah, no, I'm trying to get a church group together." And then I was like,
"Oh."
I told him, I was like, "That's the cheapest way to go," because he was like, "I looked into it. It's so expensive." He's like, "It's like $80 to get in, and then you got to pay like $20 to park, and it's like all these like different fees." And I was like, I heard like if you get a church group to go, man, it's way cheaper. Like I was like, that's what you need to do is like get a church to all go to the Ark, which I would never spend any amount of money to see the Ark.
Yeah.
Maybe if I could go for free, I would check it out. If anyone wants to pay for me to check it out, hit me up. But
Noah's Ark sponsorship, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, no.
I would check it out.
I mean, I'm all for sponsorship, but I don't know. It depends on how much they offer, and then maybe I'll be a sellout.
I mean, we could get the Creation Museum to sponsor us too, like twofer right there.
Can we just get Doug and Nate to sponsor?
Yes.
I would totally
this
accept their
episode
sponsorship.
is brought to you by Edge of Skate and
What does Doug do?
Doug did.
But yeah, so I have nothing against the Ark or whatever. I just thought it was funny that that's something that people are like, "Oh, Kentucky, that's where the Ark is," and I'm like, "Oh no."
Yeah, no, my first reaction would have been like, "Ark? What Ark?
What?
Ark of the Covenant? Are you telling me the Ark of the Covenant is here?
Wait a second.
Being studied by top men?"
we
We had no idea.
So,
That'd be way cooler.
So then That was on our stop to Chicago, and then we went to Chicago, and we actually go to Chicago like once a year.
Yeah, Chicago's not a bad trip from here.
Yeah, it's only
so.
like 6 hours away, so we drive up there all the time. So it has my favorite skate park. Like literally, I've been to skate parks all over the country, all over the world. I've been to the biggest, like one of the biggest skate parks in the Cayman Islands. Like I travel skateboarding all the time, and Grant Park in Chicago is my favorite skate park of all of them. It's such a fun skate park. I love it there. And then there's also my favorite pizza place is only 2 blocks down from it.
I was going to say, my favorite things in Chicago are the food.
Giovanni Reno's or something.
Yeah, I just looked it up because we had to get John a classic Chicago-style deep dish.
That's my favorite kind of pizza is like classic. Have you ever had like a traditional Chicago style where it's like the layer of crust, then the toppings and cheese?
I have not.
Then a layer of
It's
crust.
Let's do a mini road trip with.
Let's do it.
Let's all go and get
as close
pizza.
as Chicago is, I've never been.
We could do it.
I've only been to Chicago O'Hare to like connect other flights. That's,
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never actually
drive up there and back in a day. Like it's like not that bad of a
Listen,
drive.
I don't know how much you like us, but we should all go.
You guys are okay, I guess.
Yeah, for a day it would be fine.
Yeah.
For pizza and beer, it would
Yeah.
be fine.
Oh no. So yeah, if you guys are willing to drive, then yes.
Yeah, you go up there and stay the night. Even like you can get a cheap hotel for like $100. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad at all.
Chicago's
We
fun.
do it all the time.
Yeah.
We love it.
Might have to introduce a new segment where I just go traveling and have a GoPro or something.
I mean, some of we've been to a lot of cities that are close. St. Louis, have you ever been there?
I've driven through St. Louis again, like so many like other like
There's
states
this
and
place
cities.
On the next episode with the Jennings,
City Museum, St.
you
Louis.
will hear about St. Louis
Oh
and Chicago.
my gosh! Yeah,
But,
yeah.
So Chicago, we went and got vegan food at
The Chicago Diner, which is one of my favorite
They
places.
have one of the best Reubens I've ever had, and it's 100% vegan.
Really?
No meat, no cheese, and it is
Amazing.
phenomenal.
So good. It would be the best Reuben I've ever had if Heavens to Betsy in Lawrenceburg didn't have the best Reuben I've ever had.
I'd be willing to give that vegan sandwich a try
It's
Yeah.
because
amazing.
I'm very much a carnivore. Like I like salads and vegetables and stuff like that. But yeah, if someone's just kind of like salad. Well, not even steak. I'm not a big steak person actually, but like rack of ribs, I'm like, oh, give me that rack of ribs right now. I will devour that thing.
I'm a big steak person. So.
And John eats a lot of vegan food with me, so
I do. I like
you'll
food.
tell me
I
if
like
something's
food,
good or
yeah.
like good food is good food. I'm
Yeah,
willing
that's
to try.
true.
I'm willing to try, a lot of
We went to, there's this place called Belmont Army. It's like this 4-level store in Chicago, and the basement was a skate shop. It actually just went out of business the weekend we were there. It was the last weekend there.
Oh, that sucks.
I've been going to this skate shop since I was 17 because I've been going to Chicago on and off forever, and literally it just went out of business. But I got a bunch of stuff for really cheap, so that was cool. But then the next level is a clothing store, and then there's an army surplus store, and then a vintage clothing store on the very top, and it's so cool. It's one of the coolest stores I've ever been to.
Yeah, Chicago's one of my favorite big cities.
Yeah.
But again, it might be we know where to go and where there's fun shops and cool food. And
But that does actually make it a better
Cool
experience
skate
rather
parks.
than just kind of be like, what's the touristy stuff? Because
yeah,
again, touristy stuff is fine, but I don't like to spend a whole lot of time there. I like to just a lot of times when I'm in the cities or something like that and trying to find a place to eat. It sounds kind of weird, but I'll follow my nose. I'll get a whiff of some restaurant. That smells delicious. Let's go that way.
What we always do is we look at the Food Channel. There's always Food Channel episodes about cities. So we'll be Food Channel Chicago, and I'll be eat here, go to hot dogs, go to here, go to.
Oh yeah, the last time we went to, or one of the last times we went to Chicago, we stood in line for 2 hours to get hot dogs at this place called Hot Dogs. It's no longer around, but we've always called Chicago the amusement park for food.
You
And
should just stand in line and wait to eat food all day.
I'm down for that, 'cause
there's
I love food.
so much good food in
It
Chicago.
really is. It's amazing.
But yeah, that was the last day of our trip was Chicago, and the next day we packed up and drove home, which after being gone for weeks, it was crazy getting back into Kentucky. And we got home and slept in our own bed that night.
That is one of the best experiences after being away for however long. Sleep in your own bed, you're like,
getting in our own bed. Our dogs were there. I hadn't seen my dogs in weeks. It was.
I don't know the bed in the hotel because the last night in Chicago was the only night we had.
Yeah, we had been camping the whole time, so we get to this hotel and this bed was like we passed out.
So we're in the middle of this city, and I'm still wearing the coonskin hat. So I walk in and check into this hotel.
It's a nice hotel. I mean, we got a good deal on it. It wasn't super expensive, but it was nice.
And like it was a super nice hotel. We actually got upgraded to like a suite up at the top, like on the top floor of the hotel and stuff. And like
it's probably the hat. They're just kind of like, look at this guy. He's been off in the wilderness. They deserve a suite.
With this coonskin hat.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was pretty amazing.
Because up until Chicago, everyone, for one, I can't tell you how many old ladies came up to John and was like, "I love your hat."
Where did you get that?
Where did you get that?
Well, I got it in Montana 2 days ago.
You
made it myself.
Yeah, he got so many compliments on that.
Yeah, next road trip we go on, I'm gonna buy a bunch of those and just sell them. Like, coonskin hat. Here's your one for $20.
It's like the guy in Majora's Mask who has like the backpack with all
Heavy mask salesman?
Yeah. But you'll just have like a backpack with like coonskin hats and stuff and like, well, I've got you right here, ma'am. Only $5.
Don't meet an unfortunate fate with this coonskin hat. It's like this one might be possessed.
It was really comical though to be in the city wearing a coonskin hat. So.
But at the same time, imagine a big city like that. They've seen weirder, so they're like, got a coonskin hat, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it was totally normal up until we hit Chicago. Like out in Wyoming and all that stuff. No one like.
Everyone just
yeah, they're like, that's a really cute hat.
I like that hat. But yeah, when we got to Chicago, not only were we staying at the DoubleTree, which was a really nice hotel, but also there was a wedding going on. So like, there's like literally people in like formal attire, and I'm wearing like a coonskin hat.
The best attire to crash that wedding.
It was so funny. It was very comical.
Yeah,
It was fun.
We've been to other hotels where there was a wedding, and there's always like people like in the lobby drunk. There's like drama going on because we saw like the bride getting on an elevator one time, like in her wedding dress. It's like a whole thing.
When we were also in Chicago, remember there were those people taking photos in the middle of the street.
Oh yeah, that was
the busy streets of Chicago. There was this wedding party taking photos like in the streets of Chicago.
Like rush hour traffic. I bet the photos were beautiful. This woman was beautiful. She was in this, obviously a wedding gown. Her and her husband were like in the middle of this street. They had like her dress all pulled out, and like the photographer was like down on his knees taking pictures as cars were just driving past, and there was these giant, I bet it was really cool pictures. But they looked crazy. Like that had to have been terrifying. And then like a block down was all the like bridesmaids like huddled up in traffic, like they were taking pictures. It was a whole thing.
It is crazy. It was cool though.
Again, I bet they were cool pictures, but it was kind of bizarre. But yeah, that was our cross country road trip.
Sounds like a lot of fun, and I now like, cause I've been wanting to go for a road trip for a long time, like across the country, but I don't know.
But now we know some people you can stay with. We got
as long as I can stay with Doug and like interrogate that guy.
You have to meet Doug. He can be the guest on your podcast as well.
That'll just be the whole thing. It's like, so Doug, what do you do for a living? It's like, I can't tell you. It's like, no. You will tell me what you do, Doug.
We need answers.
Doug's actually going to come stay with us within the next probably couple of months.
Yes.
So maybe Doug can be a guest on
Yes.
And Doug has also traveled a lot. He
would be great
to talk. He goes to Tokyo like once a year at least.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he does marathons, so he's traveled to different states for those and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
He's a very well-traveled person. So we will.
If any of it's true, maybe all of this is just.
So long as he can hook me up and like just let me travel places, or again, just tell me what he does for a living, and maybe I can get into what he does. Then
he works for the Arizona College with computers.
So he says.
That's all he does.
I'm still liking the Batman theory.
I like the Batman.
I work with computers at the college. Like that's all he says. But it's like,
sure, Doug.
What do you do with computers at the college? Like,
what do you do, Doug?
Yeah. What does Doug do?
That's the biggest question at the end of this podcast. But I guess since we are like a little over 2 hours now, we start wrapping this up. But
do you want us to do like segments that you can like make it into blocks and be like, all right, that's the end of part 1.
that might be a little bit easier. Because I don't know a whole lot of people who want to watch basically a 2.5 hour like podcast of like.
Man, we did some.
So how much would you split it into? What do you think this is? Like 3 episodes, maybe?
Maybe like 1 or 2. Because usually like most of the podcasts I do are about like hour 20 minutes or so. So yeah, I might split it into 2 parts.
Yeah. So do you want to pause it and then us do a sound bite for it, or do you want us to just start here, or? What would be easiest for you to? Do you know how to like?
I don't know. You already said you don't edit this, so I mean, you can just cut it wherever and just post it 2 times. It's fine. We don't need.
We can go ahead and start wrapping this. So I guess do you guys want to like? I don't know. You guys like have social media? You want to put on like Twitter or Instagram, or do you all?
Yeah, definitely. Check out Local Skateboards USA on Instagram. That's one thing I didn't mention this entire time. I own a skateboard company. And
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
you're not very good at self-promotion.
Fun fact, guys. So check us out on Instagram and Facebook. We're Local Skateboard Distribution on Facebook and Local Skateboards USA on Instagram. So, yeah, definitely give us a like.
We'll be sure to leave links to all the social medias in the description below, so that you can actually support this fine gentleman.
Yeah. Also, check out Edge-A-Skate on all social media platforms too.
From what you all have told me, Nate would probably be your best friend too. He's like, I got a new follower. Let's be best friends. Where are you from? Can we hang out?
He totally would.
Yeah, Nate Sherwood's amazing. So definitely follow him too.
Yeah, and thanks for having us on your podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you all for agreeing to be on here.
Of course.
And as always, you can check me out on Twitter at IrishmanJake and my other endeavors, the podcast and all that stuff. So thank you for tuning in, everybody, and until next time, everyone, cheers.